Chapter 11:19. They rushed to the exit. Fortunately, they had left behind ropes just now, so they quickly climbed up the ropes. But just then, the scorching heat came from below. The long-tongued monster rushed out again. Another mercenary screamed as he was pulled down the rope. Danny didn't care about friendly fire and threw a grenade down. Boom! Another long-tongued monster was killed. In the end, only 5 mercenaries managed to escape to the surface. Avenko and Depp heard the roar and came out to check the situation. Then they saw Danny and the others return. Danny, is the monster dead? No, boss. Quickly cover the metal plate. There are a lot of monsters down there, a lot of monsters. Not dead. Just then, flames came from below again. Avenko frowned. He saw the long-tongued monster, whose entire body was on fire. Avenko fired a few shots at the monster. It was about to climb up, but Avenko shot it back to the bottom of the cave. However, Avenko's gun did very little damage to the long-tongued monster. Mr. Depp, you'd better step back. Depp gulped and hurriedly took a few steps back. Roar! Just then, a loud roar came from the depths of the crack. Everyone standing at the entrance felt the air flow change. Everyone hurriedly covered the metal plates and placed a lot of bombs at the entrance of the cave. Everyone looked nervously under the metal plate. Suddenly, the metal plate flew up. It was accompanied by a loud explosion. Dust and smoke filled the entrance of the cave. Then, moving flames appeared in the smoke. Fire! Fire! Avenko yelled. Roar! Accompanied by a violent roar, a huge black-skinned monster stood at the entrance of the cave. The surrounding smoke was dispersed by this loud roar. The huge monster looked like it had evolved from some crocodile. Its limbs were short and thick, but it stood upright. It was at least 8 meters long and more than 5 meters tall when it stood up. It dragged a thick tail behind it and was covered in flames, but it didn't seem to have heard of it. There was also an iron hoop and a thick, broken iron chain around its neck. Its head was like a crocodile's and its belly was white, but its back was like a rock. However, its back was already red from the heat. Those long-tongued monsters looked like its larvae, and the two were somewhat similar in some characteristics. Outside the construction site, Qin Zhao and Amira were eating dinner on the roof of a car. Mr. Qin, do you hear that? Yeah, I heard it. I think they messed it up. Qin Zhao got off the roof. Qin Zhao and Amira had been waiting outside the construction site for more than 3 hours. Qin Zhao had already woken up. Is my father all right? Amira immediately became anxious. Qin Zhao continued to eat his sandwich unhurriedly. I don't know. I'll go in and take a look after dinner. Mr. Qin, are you still in the mood to eat? What else? Your father doesn't want to see me anyway. Mr. Qin, please go and save my father. I'm afraid he's in danger. Don't worry. Listen to the frequency of the gunshots. It seems like they are still in the middle of a fierce battle. Maybe they are finishing up now. Mr. Qin. Qin Zhao looked up at Amira. Ms. Amira, I didn't accept the mission to save your father. It was your father who rejected me. Qin Zhao was still very petty. Depp had been so rude to him earlier. Of course, Qin Zhao didn't want to save him. Amira panicked. If you don't go, I'll go. Amira took out a gun from somewhere and was about to enter the construction site. Suddenly, a jeep dashed out from inside, but the jeep was moving too fast. There was no time for it to make a turn, and it directly crashed into the front of Amira's car, which was parked at the entrance. Amira, why are you still here? Depp exclaimed. Damn, the car's broken. I can't move, Avenko cursed. Roar. Another monster roar came from the back. Everyone looked back. The huge crocodile monster had charged out with its minions behind it. The flames on their bodies had already ignited the entire construction site. When the crocodile monster charged, it crawled on all fours just like a crocodile. However, it could stand up on its own. Prepare to fight. Avenko didn't panic. He grabbed a machine gun and started shooting at the crocodile monster. However, when the bullets hit the crocodile monster, they only created sparks. The damage was limited. The other long-tongued monsters scattered immediately. "Amira, let's go," Depp called. Amira looked at Chen Zhao. "Mr. Chen, it's your turn now. You have no reason to refuse now, right?" "No rush," Chen Zhao said unhurriedly. "Wait until they're all dead." Depp glared at Chen Zhao, who was sitting on the roof. "Kid, I'll remember you." "You better remember," Chen Zhao said, unconcerned. The crocodile monster was different from its minions. It was smarter and stronger. It quickly hid in a house and came out from the other side. At the same time, it grabbed a bulldozer parked nearby and threw it at the mercenaries. The bulldozer, which weighed several tons, smashed into the jeep and exploded its fuel tank. Now, Avinko and the others finally realized how troublesome this monster was. But now, they had no other choice but to fight back. Taking advantage of the explosion, the crocodile monster jumped over. It stomped a mercenary to death and swung its tail. Another mercenary screamed and flew away. Everyone's faces were pale as they looked at the huge monster in front of them in horror. "Hey, monster!" Suddenly, Avinko shouted from behind the crocodile monster. The crocodile monster turned around and looked at Avinko. "Roar!" Avinko suddenly threw a grenade into the crocodile monster's mouth. Boom! A violent explosion came from the crocodile monster's mouth. But the crocodile monster didn't fall. Avinko's legs went soft. At this moment, he finally lost his usual calmness. The crocodile monster seemed to be immortal. The gunshot stopped. Everyone stared at the crocodile monster anxiously. The crocodile monster looked down at Avinko with a hint of mockery. Just then, a long-tongued monster that had circled behind the crowd curled its tongue around Depp. "Ah, Mr. Chin, please save my dad." Seeing that Chen Zhao wasn't moved, Amira immediately shouted, $30 million! I'll raise the price. $30 million. Chen Zhao suddenly jumped off the roof and disappeared into the darkness. Not long after, Chen Zhao returned with Depp, who was still in shock. Chapter 1120. Chen Zhao tossed Depp onto the ground. "If I don't receive the money in 1 minute, I'll throw you back to those monsters." Depp was also scared out of his wits. He was dumbfounded during the entire process. He'd never been so close to death. He thought that he was dead for sure, but the next moment he realized that the monster grabbing him didn't seem to be able to stand still. Then he fell into Chen Zhao's hands. "You're blackmailing me." Depp still didn't understand the situation. Amira immediately went up. "Mr. Chin, I promise in my name that I won't go back on my word." "Fine, I'll believe you." Amira looked at the monsters surrounding him and gulped. "So, Mr. Chen, are you willing to help now?" At the moment, Amelia was equally nervous. Suddenly, a monster shot its tongue over and wrapped around Chen Zhao's body. Seeing that Chen Zhao was wrapped up, the remaining mercenaries naturally thought that he was dead for sure. However, something unexpected happened. Chen Zhao wasn't dragged away. Instead, he stood there without moving. On the contrary, the long-tongued monster was pulled over by Chen Zhao. Everyone stared at Chen Zhao in disbelief. These monsters weighed more than 500 kilograms and were at least 3 meters long. How did this man pull them? But the monster wasn't stupid. Since it couldn't pull Chen Zhao, it opened its mouth and tried to cover Chen Zhao. Chen Zhao was about to be swallowed by the monster. Suddenly, Chen Zhao raised his arms and grabbed the monster's upper and lower jaws. Whoosh! Depp's eyes widened. Chen Zhao actually tore the long-tongued monster in half. Everyone stared at Chen Zhao in disbelief. Just now he'd torn the monster in half? Did that really happen? Even the crocodile monster noticed Chen Zhao. It turned to look at Chen Zhao. Ignoring Avinko, it charged at Chen Zhao. Just then, Chen Zhao was wrapped up by another monster's tongue. Oh no! Seeing this, everyone started to worry for Chen Zhao. The crocodile monster smashed into Chen Zhao, sending him flying more than 10 meters away. He landed in the fire of the exploded jeep. It's over. Depp's heart sank. Amira's face was pale as well. She had high hopes for Qin Zhao, but Chen Zhao had died just like that. This was something she had never dreamed of. Just as everyone was in despair, Chen Zhao stood up in the flames. Then, Chen Zhao grabbed the flaming bulldozer. The bulldozer was lifted up and smashed towards the crocodile monster. The crocodile monster had the same thought as everyone else. The bulldozer had already smashed into the crocodile monster's body and was sent flying more than 10 meters away. Qin Zhao patted the flames on his body and walked out. Depp, Avinko, and the rest all stared at Chen Zhao, dumbfounded. Qin Zhao shrugged as if he was warming up. Now, the way everyone looked at Qin Zhao had completely changed. This man was the real monster. He was a monster through and through. The crocodile monster pushed away the bulldozer on its body and stood up again. Roar! This time, the crocodile monster wasn't so careless. It looked at Chen Zhao with vigilance and hostility. Previously, it had only treated Chen Zhao as food, but now, Chen Zhao was an enemy, a powerful enemy. The crocodile monster crouched on the ground and charged at Chen Zhao. But when it was less than 5 meters away from Chen Zhao, the crocodile monster suddenly turned around. Its huge tail swept towards Chen Zhao. There were still flames burning on its tail. Bang! Everyone felt a little dizzy from the sound. It was too loud. Just when they thought Chen Zhao would be swept away, he only moved a few meters back and hugged the flaming tail. Ah! Chen Zhao also roared. The crocodile monster started spinning in Chen Zhao's hand. Bang! Chen Zhao grabbed the crocodile monster's tail and smashed it into the bulldozer. The bulldozer had already become a piece of scrap metal. Then it smashed into Amira's car. Amira's car was also flattened instantly. Chen Zhao swung the huge crocodile monster again. This time, he smashed it into the ground. The crocodile monster suddenly turned around and spat out a pillar of fire at Chen Zhao. Boom! Chen Zhao was blown away. Everyone tensed up again, but Chen Zhao stood up again. It can actually spit fire, Chen Zhao muttered to himself. Yen %, #yen. Chen Zhao suddenly raised his head. Did this guy come from hell? But that didn't seem strange. Chen Zhao looked at the crocodile monster's neck. There was a metal collar around it, just like a dog's collar. There was also a chain on the collar. Chen Zhao moved again and charged at the crocodile monster. The crocodile monster spat out flames again. But this explosion couldn't stop Chen Zhao. Chen Zhao had already reached the crocodile monster and grabbed the chain around its neck. Pooh! The crocodile monster was pulled to the ground. Chen Zhao dragged the chain through the crocodile's mouth and then jumped onto its back, tugging on it like a rope. The crocodile monster struggled crazily, but Chen Zhao only had to pull the chain upwards, and the crocodile's upper jaw was almost broken. Everyone was watching this thrilling battle. Dad, how do you feel now? Amira glanced at her father. Depp's face was bright red. He didn't answer Amira's question. Because of your stubbornness and suspicion, I have to pay 30 million more, Amira said angrily. I'll pay for it. Depp turned his head away. Actually, his heart was dripping blood. Even if he was a billionaire, $30 million wasn't a small amount. If it was anyone else, they would probably feel heartache. Crack! Just then, Chen Zhao ripped off the crocodile monster's upper jaw. The crocodile monster's arrogance instantly weakened. Chen Zhao took out his bronze sword and pierced through the crocodile monster's skull. Mr. Qin, $5 million. I want this monster's body intact. Amira knew that her father collected animal corpses as specimens and kept them in his house. But she didn't expect her father to be so obsessed with them. After the crocodile monster's skull was pierced through, it struggled for a while and then stopped breathing. The moment those long-tongued monsters saw that their boss was dead, they immediately fled, all of them fleeing towards the underground cave. Chen Zhao jumped down from the crocodile monster's body. I hope to see the transfer tomorrow. Is that okay? Chapter 11:21. Chen Zhao glanced at Depp and didn't say anything. However, his attitude had already explained everything. He refused. "Mr. Chen," Amira said, "please help the monsters that escaped back into the cave." Chun Zhao nodded. "I'll do it according to our agreement." Chun Zhao walked to the cave and jumped in alone. Depp let out a long sigh. "Amira, where did you find this guy? Compared to this monster, he's more like... Dad, if you know the enemies he fought in the past, you won't think he's that strong." After entering the cave, Chun Zhao went straight to the depths. He didn't encounter a single monster along the way. Soon, he found the circular well in the depths. All the long-tongued monsters were gathered below. They seemed to have sensed Chun Zhao's arrival. They all barked at him like a bunch of mad dogs. Chun Zhao frowned, not because of the monster's frenzied reactions, but because of the bronze pillar. Chun Zhao jumped down from above and landed on the pile of bones. The monsters tried to attack him, but he killed a few on the spot. There was a broken chain on the pillar. Thinking of the collar and chain on the crocodile's neck, it wasn't hard to guess that the crocodile had been chained to the pillar. There were many patterns on the pillar, and one of the largest patterns was that of a crocodile monster. In the pattern, the crocodile was eating people while a group of people knelt on the ground. It was as if the crocodile was a god. There were also demonic words on the pillar. It seemed to be a spell. Chun Zhao recognized the demonic words. "Sakami, Domi Adonis." Chun Zhao chanted the demonic words. Just then the pillar suddenly shook. The surrounding monsters seemed to be affected by the spell and became even more frenzied, but they didn't dare to approach Chun Zhao. As Chun Zhao continued chanting, the monsters actually started dispersing. They turned into a beam of green light and entered the pillar. Every time Chun Zhao chanted a note, another tongue monster would disappear. Chun Zhao was confused. When Chun Zhao finished the last note, all the tongue-tied monsters disappeared. Chun Zhao pulled the pillar up bit by bit. It was at least 20 meters long. Could this be the Rui Jingubang? Chun Zhao laughed at himself. He was thinking too much. However, he discovered that there was another demonic incantation carved on the other side of the pillar. Chun Zhao was a bit surprised, but under the urge of curiosity, he still chanted the spell. The long-tongued monster that had disappeared earlier reappeared before Chun Zhao, but this time they didn't attack him. Instead, they knelt on the ground devoutly. Is this copper pillar the artifact used to control these long-tongued monsters? These long-tongued monsters seemed to be very reluctant to return to the copper pillar. However, Chun Zhao still chanted the first part of the spell and pulled all the tongued monsters back into the pillar. Chun Zhao was more curious about the bronze pillar's origin. Chun Zhao put the copper pillar into his spatial ring. After returning to the surface, Depp and Amira had yet to leave. When they saw Chun Zhao jump out of the 10-meter deep hole, they were secretly shocked. "Mr. Chen, is it settled?" "Yep, it's done. There's not a single monster down there." The two heaved a long sigh of relief. Depp was very regretful now. Because of his doubt, he had to pay an extra $30 million. However, Chun Zhao's display of strength made him not have the courage to go back on his word. "Mr. Chen, is there anything else?" "Back to the hotel." "Tomorrow," Chun Zhao said calmly. Amira called a car and sent Chun Zhao back to the city. To be honest, the battle today wasn't that intense for Chun Zhao. However, he actually felt tired. After arriving at the hotel, Chun Zhao washed up and hurriedly went to bed. In a daze, Chun Zhao suddenly woke up. When he opened his eyes again, he seemed to have appeared in an unknown place. Surrounded by copper pillars, Chun Zhao rubbed his forehead. Chun Zhao was very clear-headed now. He was dreaming. He was in a dream. However, he couldn't wake up. Chun Zhao started pacing around the pillars. Suddenly, he saw figures in front of him. One of them was a 10-meter-tall female giant. She lay on the ground lazily, one hand resting on her head. She looked like a reclining Buddha. Although the female giant was huge, she gave off an indescribable sense of beauty. Not to mention her figure. Just based on her appearance, this female giant was definitely a peerless beauty. The female giant kept yawning as if she hadn't slept enough. A man knelt before the female giant. The man kept saying something. However, Chen Zhao couldn't hear their conversation. The female giant didn't seem to want to pay attention to the man. At this time, the man took out a golden knife and cut his wrist. Then he raised his bleeding arm high. Soon, a pool of blood formed on the ground. The female giant finally looked at the man in the eye and then opened her mouth to speak. Chen Zhao couldn't hear anything, but he could see the female giant's lips. In wrath, Terra, lass. Chen Zhao unconsciously repeated the female giant's incantation. Then the surrounding copper pillars started glowing. They turned into beams of different colors and shot into the sky. Chen Zhao looked up at the sky. Only then did he realize that the place in his dream wasn't the human world. It was hell. However, why did he have such a strange dream? This female giant should be a demon, right? Who is she? Who's the person kneeling on the ground? Suddenly, the female giant looked at Chen Zhao. The moment he met her gaze, Chen Zhao's body and mind shook. Whoosh! Chen Zhao sat up from the bed. He'd woken up. Was it because the dream had ended? Or was it because he'd been woken up by the female giant in his dream? Did the female giant know that he was in his dream? Chen Zhao felt strange. The female giant, the man, and the copper pillars. Chen Zhao looked outside the window. It was actually morning. Chen Zhao walked to the window and pulled open the curtains. He enjoyed bathing in the sunlight. However, his mind was still filled with the female giant's eyes. Had the female giant barged into his dream, or had he dreamt of the female giant? However, it definitely had something to do with the copper pillar. He'd had such a strange dream because he'd taken the pillar. Chapter 11:22. There was really no place to play in Abilene. The most famous place was the former president's former residence and 2 museums. Chen Zhao walked around Abilene in the morning. Even Amira didn't know where to take him. Chen Zhao was glad that he didn't bring Fei Lai. That afternoon, Chen Zhao returned home. When he got home, he immediately took out the bronze pillar and threw it in the backyard. Demon god pillar. Beelzebub exclaimed in surprise when he saw it. What demon god pillar? You know about this? Chen Zhao didn't expect to get the answer so easily. It's very common in hell, Beelzebub said. In order to control low-level demons, some high-level demons will imprison them in demon god pillars. But the main demon of this pillar seems to be gone. I killed it, Chen Zhao said. Now only some small fries are sealed inside. Next time you go to hell, you can find a powerful demon and imprison him in this demon god pillar. This demon god pillar looks pretty high level. There's only release and recall spells on it. There's no imprison spell, Chen Zhao said. Do you know the imprison spell? If you don't understand, you can ask King Samuel. Just then, Fei Lai and Jerlin, who was carrying Samuel, walked to the backyard. Seeing the demon god pillar, Fei Lai was stunned. Jin, what's this? Demon god pillar. Are you talking about one of Solomon's 72 demon god pillars? Hearing Fei Lai's words, Chen Zhao couldn't help but be stunned. Among all the legends in the West, Solomon's 72 demon god pillars were one of the more familiar ones. But before this, Chen Zhao hadn't thought about this. Moreover, Solomon was the king of the ancient Jewish kingdom. Chen Zhao wouldn't associate something that appeared in North America with Solomon. I don't think so. Chen Zhao wasn't sure either. After all, anything related to demons couldn't be understood with common sense. For example, Abaddon. Who would have thought that it had the appearance of a mummy? Is there a demon god inside? I killed the demon god inside last night. Really, if you meet him again, remember to catch him alive. I want to see what the legendary demon god looks like. Okay, I'll remember. Chun Zhao smiled bitterly. However, were these demon god pillars really Solomon's 72 demon god pillars? Chun Zhao reached out and touched the demon god pillar. The moment he touched it, the female giant's eyes flashed across his mind. After returning to the villa, Chun Zhao picked up the computer and searched for information about Solomon and the 72 demon god pillars. Through the search engine, a lot of information about this legend quickly popped up. In many historical records, Solomon sought refuge from the demon king of hell, Belial, in order to consolidate his royal power. After that, the demon king of hell Belial and Solomon signed a contract. Solomon could command the 72 demon gods under Belial, but the price was that after Solomon died, his soul would belong to Belial. During Solomon's reign, the country was extremely powerful. However, before he died, Solomon sealed the 72 demon gods in a bottle. After Solomon's death, the Babylonians immediately seized the opportunity to invade the Jewish kingdom. They mistakenly opened the bottle with the 72 demon gods sealed inside, causing them to escape and disappear without a trace. Chun Zhao sank into deep thought. If he analyzed it according to the information he had found, based on the information he'd found and his dream, the female giant he saw was Belial, and the person kneeling in front of the female giant is Solomon? Right, Ammon was Belial's subordinate. He could go and ask him. Chun Zhao walked to the lake and looked at a water monster with a white belly in the distance. Ammon was usually too lazy to move, so he just floated on the water like this. Chun Zhao shouted, "Ammon, come here." Ammon didn't move, so Chun Zhao continued shouting. Only then did Ammon flip over and slowly swim to the shore. "Master, what are you doing?" "Is your subordinate, the king of sloth, Belial, male or female?" "I don't know." "You don't know? How are you a subordinate?" "I'm King Belial's subordinate, not his son." "How would I know if he's male or female? Plus, with King Belial's ability, it doesn't matter to him whether he's male or female. Only you humans care about this." Chun Zhao realized that communicating with Ammon was really painful. This lazy guy had been with him for a year. When Chun Zhao gave him his salary, he often asked for demonic crystals. But every time Chun Zhao talked to him, his attitude was still like he was a demon master. It was the same for Beelzebub. "Last night, I killed a demon god pillar familiar. I suspect it's Belial's demon god pillar," Chun Zhao said. "Do you have a way to tell?" "Let me see." Chun Zhao brought the demon god pillar to Ammon. Ammon shook his head in the water. "I can't tell. Apart from the fact that it looks like an advanced demon god pillar, I can't tell anything else." "Advanced demon god pillar? But that familiar feels very weak. I didn't even use 1/10 of my power." "Who said that advanced demon god pillars have to imprison powerful demons?" Ammon said matter-of-factly, "Demon god pillars usually imprison demons with special bloodlines. Their combat power might not be high, but I don't feel that the familiar has any special abilities." "Maybe it's not a battle-type special ability," Ammon said. "Are there any crocodile-type familiars in Belial's 72 demon god pillars?" "I don't know," Ammon answered. Ammon replied, "In addition, you seem to be mistaken. King Beria has far more than 72 demon pillars. King Beria controls 11 demon legions, and each legion has 6,666 demons. Belial wouldn't imprison all his demons in the demon god pillars, right? Lord Belial is very lazy, so he always brings all his servants with him." This was a level of laziness that had reached a certain level, but it was understandable. Belial was the king of sloth. There was no demon in the entire hell that was lazier than Belial. Chun Zhao looked at the demon god pillar and stabbed it into the ground. No one would be able to steal it anyway. Moreover, if an enemy came to invade, he could directly chant an incantation or directly summon minions to kill the enemy. Unfortunately, Chun Zhao had killed the main familiar. He should have kept the crocodile-type monster. It didn't have high combat power, but it looked cool. Oh, do you know how to imprison demons in Demon God Pillars? Chapter 11:23. The next day, Qin Zhao went to school directly. After all, he'd promised Evely that he'd start her pre-race training. Qin Zhao wanted to continue driving his truck, but Fei Lai forced him to drive his new car. It was quite eye-catching to drive $1 million supercar into the school. Qin Zhao wanted to keep a low profile, but Fei Lai's retort made him speechless. You want to keep a low profile after buying this car? Qin Zhao was speechless. On the way, Qin Zhao received a call. It was another call from the handsome guy. Qin Zhao, I changed my ride recently. Look at my new ride. Qin Zhao saw a huge ray, commonly known as a devil ray. However, the devil ray under the handsome guy's feet was clearly dozens of times bigger than a regular one. Of course, compared to the super big black dragon from before, this stingray seemed a little small. Handsome, where's your black dragon mount? It's too flashy riding the ancestral dragon's projection. I've been more low-key recently. Qin Zhao was speechless. This devil ray wasn't that low-key either. I got a new car too. Qin Zhao chatted with the handsome guy. At the same time, he sent a photo of his new car. Next time, bring me one too. I want this car too. My car can't fly. I want it anyway. Okay. Oh, let me ask you something. What? You know Belial, right? Yes. Is Belial male or female? I mean, according to human standards, he's the most primitive gender. Don't tell me that his gender is meaningless. I think he's female. Why do you want to know? I think I found something that belonged to her. After getting the handsome guy's answer, Qin Zhao was completely sure that the Demon God Pillar was one of the 72 Demon God Pillars. The Demon God Pillar that she left in the human world, Qin Zhao said. And I even dreamed of her. Weird. Why would you dream of her? The handsome guy was also confused. If it's you and someone dreams of you, can you find the dreamer? I can't, the handsome boy said. Then I shouldn't be dreaming. You used the Demon God Pillar to infiltrate Belial's consciousness, said the handsome boy. This was the most reasonable explanation. Because dreaming was an act of self-consciousness, the people and things in the dream were all fake. So, if it was a dream, the person in the dream shouldn't have self-consciousness, let alone look at him like that. Therefore, the little handsome guy immediately guessed the only possibility. But the gap between you and her is so big. How did you manage to infiltrate her consciousness? Qin Zhao could be imagined as a thief who had successfully snuck into the Ministry of Defense and stolen something from inside. From the perspective of probability, this was almost impossible. If Belial's self-consciousness was so easily invaded, then Belial wouldn't be the great demon king. Qin Zhao didn't understand either. But one good thing about Qin Zhao was that he didn't want to think about things he couldn't understand. No matter how hard he tried, he couldn't figure it out. By the way, handsome, what color car do you want? Wait, I'll bring it to you next time I go to hell. Qin Zhao paused and said, By the way, I want you to know the spell to imprison the demon in the Demon God Pillar, right? Yes, I'll teach you the spell, the handsome boy said. Also, you need to be careful that the demon you imprison can't be stronger than you. You also have to beat the demon until he's unconscious. That'll make it easier to imprison him. Just then, there was the sound of a police siren. Qin Zhao glanced at the rearview mirror, his expression gloomy. I can't talk to you anymore. I have trouble. Do you need my help? How can you help me? Kill him, and I'll torture his soul. No need. That's all for now. Qin Zhao immediately hung up and watched as Sharon's police car stopped by the roadside. You bought a new car? Sharon asked, studying his car. Yes. Is buying a new car against the traffic rules? It's not illegal to buy a new car, but it's against the rules to answer a call while driving. Here's your ticket. Also, it's not your first time answering a call while driving. I'll deduct 1 point. In California, there is the same penalty point system as in the US. Chen Zhao's expression was helpless. It seemed that every time he broke the traffic rules, Sharon would appear. Sometimes, Chen Zhao even suspected that Sharon was following him. Nevertheless, Chen Zhao followed the traffic rules most of the time. However, he had no choice but to answer a call while driving. "Your car is so beautiful." After giving Chen Zhao a ticket, Sharon started admiring his new car. Chen Zhao's expression was lifeless. He didn't want to talk to Sharon at all. Chen Zhao remembered that Sharon had a sports car that was several times more expensive than his. It seemed to be a limited edition Pagani. "Do you want a drink?" "I don't have time today. I have to go to school." Chen Zhao and Sharon seemed to have formed a tacit understanding. Every time Sharon stopped Chen Zhao, they would find a nearby cafe to have a cup of coffee. "Okay, I'll drink next time I see you." "Sharon, did you put some tracking device on me? Why do you always appear before me every time I break the rules?" "I also want to ask you if you break the rules in front of me every time." Sharon rolled her eyes. Chen Zhao didn't stay for long. After saying goodbye to Sharon, he went straight to school. The Porsche 918 was quite eye-catching. On the way to the school parking lot, a few girls threw flirtatious glances at Chen Zhao. Every time Chen Zhao went to the swimming pool, there would always be a lot of spectators. There were especially many male spectators. Chen Zhao suspected that the boys were here to see the girls' swimsuits. Chen Zhao saw that Zabi was still training the other students on the school swim team. When Zabi saw Chen Zhao, his eyes were filled with resentment. He felt that Chen Zhao was blocking his way. Unfortunately, Chen Zhao completely ignored Zabi. In another pool, Evely was practicing alone. "Hi, Evely." "Chin, you're finally here. I thought you were going to stand me up again. I said that I'll take 2 days off. I always keep my word." "Okay, hurry up and train. I've waited long enough." "How far did you swim this morning?" "About 5,000 meters. Chapter 11:24. Evely was already used to Chen Zhao's rough training method, but Chen Zhao's training method was very effective. As long as Evely cooperated with Chen Zhao wholeheartedly, there would always be results. She had doubts in the beginning, but now she no longer had any doubts. The only thing she doubted was that Chen Zhao's training time was too short. After lunch, Chen Zhao planned to leave. "Evely, you need to eat more fat and protein. Your fat ratio is a bit low. It's not good for your stamina." Usually, a normal person's fat ratio was around 10, while an athlete's was below 5. There was also a type of bodybuilder. They injected a lot of cholesterol, which resulted in a very low fat ratio. Their muscles would look very exaggerated in the short term, but if there was too much cholesterol in the body, it would be very harmful to the body. Bodybuilders had exaggerated muscles, but their stamina, endurance, and explosive power couldn't be compared to other athletes. Evely's fat ratio was already below 3. Fat could actually provide a lot of stamina. The lower the body fat, the better. Athletes usually pursued the most perfect and standard ratio of fat to muscle. "Also, you can come to my house tomorrow and train at Mirror Lake." "Why?" Evely asked, confused. Usually, swimmers rarely trained in water. "The environment is good," Chen Zhao said calmly. Evely rolled her eyes. This guy was just too lazy to go out. Mirror Lake contains some substances that are very beneficial to the human body. It can greatly stimulate and increase one's stamina and cell activity. Chen Zhao said. Fei Lai and Zhurlin soak in the lake every day. Evely's eyes brightened. Chen Zhao definitely had the best arrangements for his girlfriend and child. Since even they soaked in the lake every day, it would definitely be very beneficial for him. Does it mean that the more I soak, the better it is for my body? You can understand it that way, but human cells can't infinitely increase their activity or absorb those beneficial substances. The more and longer I soak, the worse the effects will be. Did you buy Mirror Lake because of this? Evely thought that Chen Zhao had chosen a place that was useless in other people's eyes because of his unique vision. Sort of. Actually, Chen Zhao only liked Mirror Lake's environment. That was all. In the afternoon, Chen Zhao went to treat Kohler. Kohler's recovery from his injuries was very good, and he was now able to carry out rehabilitation exercises. In less than a week, Kohler would be able to return to the field. A few days ago, Kohler took the time to go to UCLA. He gave the players of the basketball club a lesson. When he came out of Kohler's house, Depp had already transferred the money to his account. Tens of millions of dollars made Chen Zhao very happy. Chen Zhao went straight to the headquarters of the association. He hadn't been there for a few days. Of course, the supernatural organization only needed to report when there was a mission. Normally, everyone was busy with their own things. For example, an elite. The association even bought a huge insurance policy for every member of the association. However, when everyone was free, they would still go to the association. After all, everyone wanted to improve their strength. Thus, they all wanted to cultivate in the Tower of Trials. The supernatural organization was quite famous. However, their reputations were not very good. The main reason was that the supernatural organization had been making a fool of itself in the past 20 years. They had been weak for a long time, and it was difficult for the people of the supernatural world to shake off their preconceived notions. Of course, the association was too lazy to correct people's thoughts. Actually, it was very easy to change people's minds. They just had to report the results of the association last year. However, the people of the association had the same opinion. They were just pretending to be weak. Otherwise, if the association had any enemies in the future, they would be even more careful. For example, the family from back then. If the family had been more careful, they might have been able to severely damage the association with their abilities. Thus, the members felt that they should be low-key and do things in a high-profile manner. As soon as Chen Zhao's car stopped at the entrance, Jalanash appeared before him excitedly. "President, I passed the first round." Jalanash's eyes were shining. "Really? Good job." Chen Zhao could tell that Jalanash wanted his praise. Thus, Chen Zhao's performance was also very exaggerated. This greatly satisfied Jalanash's vanity. Chen Zhao realized that Jalanash's magic power seemed to have increased quite a bit. Chen Zhao was surprised. Jalanash's magic power increase was too much. The association's magic power potion is finished. Yes. Jalanash nodded and casually revealed her golden ring. "Chairman, my magic power has reached 449. Roland nodded and said, "President, my magic power has reached 449. The magic power potion this time is so effective?" Chen Zhao was surprised. "It's mainly because I didn't care about the high-grade materials," Jalanash said. "But Mr. West said that there was a small mistake when making the magic potion. Otherwise, the effect would have been better." Jalanash said, "Okay, try to pass the second level as soon as possible. I have high hopes for you." Chen Zhao patted Jalanash's shoulder. "I'll go in first. Where's West now?" Chen Zhao felt that it was a pity. He'd already taken the potion. It could only be used once. It was ineffective the second time. In his office, Chen Zhao entered the headquarters and pushed open West's office. "President, you're here." "West, is the potion done?" "Yes, it's done." "President, how many do you need?" "I don't need it. I've already used it before, so I don't need it anymore," Chen Zhao said. "Oh, prepare a few more for Gaia." Jalanash could increase her magic power by several times, so Gaia's increase should be even greater. "Okay." West nodded. "Oh, President, there's something I want to discuss with you." "Go ahead." "I'm planning to recruit 2 more members," West said. "Why? We already have a lot of people in the association, right?" "It's mainly because we already have combat and logistics, but we don't have healing type, spiritualists or alchemists. This time, we completely relied on Alyssa flipping through books while making the potion. The final product's effect was actually reduced," West said. The magic power potion is still the most basic alchemy product. Alice can barely do it. If we want to make more complicated alchemy products in the future, we can't do it without a professional alchemist. The other thing is a healing type spiritualist. Chapter 11:25. Of course, West knew that Qin Zhao was a doctor. Indeed, Chen Zhao could treat most injuries. But more importantly, Chen Zhao's combat ability was too outstanding. Most of the time, Qin Zhao was the main fighting force. When Chen Zhao fought, he couldn't treat the injured members at the same time. Therefore, the effects of a healer were obvious. Moreover, Chen Zhao didn't know how to heal quickly or suppress pain. This was also what West considered. Actually, most people in the association had complicated magic systems. For example, Qin Zhao was a typical example. His magic system was very complicated. Next was Jalanash. She majored in elemental magic and mixed in other magic systems. She also knew some healing spells. Although Helis had the bloodline of death, she also knew 1 or 2 normal spells. The most simple ones were Patya and more. Patya was a shaman's battle dance. She only knew this magic system, while more was a clone magic. Norma and Gaia were pure awakened bloodlines. Therefore, when West heard that Qin Zhao refused to find a healer, he immediately argued with Qin Zhao. Qin Zhao couldn't win against West. In the end, he was convinced. Whatever. Do as you see fit, Qin Zhao said helplessly. Oh, I need you to investigate some information for me. What information? Are there any ancient bronze pillars around the world? West was shocked. President, there's one under our headquarters. Qin Zhao's eyes widened. He looked at West in shock. There's a bronze pillar under our association? Yeah, when we bought this place, the previous owner brought me to see this copper pillar, but I didn't find anything wrong with it. What kind of bronze pillar? How big? How long? Never mind, take me there. Qin Zhao didn't expect that there would be a bronze pillar right under his nose in the association's headquarters. West brought Qin Zhao to the basement 3 floors. The basement was a warehouse. The second floor was a dungeon. The third floor was originally used as a warehouse, but it wasn't used yet. But when Qin Zhao reached the lower 3 floors, he only saw a few pillars. He didn't see any bronze pillars. The construction team that the president hired found that this copper pillar was too much of a hindrance, and they couldn't move it. So they built the outer shell of the copper pillar with concrete. This is the pillar, West said, pointing to the pillar in the middle. Qin Zhao peeled off the concrete shell, revealing the copper pillar inside. It was indeed the demon god pillar. Qin Zhao had an idea. If I pull out this pillar, will it affect the structure of the headquarters? That won't happen. This pillar was originally not part of the plan. It's not responsible for bearing any weight. Qin Zhao glanced at the ceiling above him. First, he removed all the concrete covering the copper pillars. Then he wrapped his arms around the copper pillar and pulled it outwards. West was used to Qin Zhao's strange strength. Very quickly, a hole appeared in the ceiling. Qin Zhao pulled it out bit by bit. West asked in confusion, President, the previous construction team said that they couldn't pull the bronze pillar out even with a crane. How did you pull it out? I don't know, Qin Zhao said. The pillar was heavy, but it was within Qin Zhao's bearable range. He didn't feel that it was too heavy. Logically speaking, the crane should have enough power to pull the pillar out. But Qin Zhao didn't hesitate. Instead, he pulled the pillar out bit by bit. This copper pillar was slightly longer than the previous one, but relatively speaking, it was thinner. After pulling the entire pillar out, Qin Zhao put it in his spatial ring. President, what's the use of that pillar? Have you heard of Solomon's 72 demon god pillars? West's eyes widened. He stared at Qin Zhao in shock. President, you're saying that this pillar is one of Solomon's 72 demon god pillars? I think so. I found one the night before yesterday. What about the demon god? I need a spell, Qin Zhao said. Let's go outside first. I'll try to summon it. When Qin Zhao and West arrived at the empty space outside the headquarters, Qin Zhao took the demon god pillar out again and placed it flat on the ground. Qin Zhao studied the incantations and patterns on the demon god pillar. The pattern on the demon god pillar was a leopard-headed familiar. The leopard-headed familiar was sitting cross-legged on the ground with a bow placed horizontally between its legs. Badalu Adawa. Qin Zhao started chanting. Gradually, the demon god pillar released a wisp of green smoke. A tall familiar with a leopard's head and human body gradually walked out of the green smoke. West looked at the familiar in shock. Disbelief was written all over his face. The leopard-headed familiar's chest bulged. It was wrapped in animal skin. Its limbs didn't look like humans. They had sharp claws. On its back was a 3-meter-long bow and a quiver with 12 arrows in it. The familiar looked at Qin Zhao. It took 2 steps toward him and then knelt on one knee. Qin Zhao was on guard because the familiar didn't have a collar. Agars, I pledge my loyalty to you, master. The familiar spoke in demon language. President, what did he say? Qin Zhao didn't answer West's question. Instead, he asked in demon language, Don't you know the human language? I can learn if that's your order. Then learn it quickly, Qin Zhao said. West, she's Agars. Teach her the language. Huh. She doesn't know the human language. Teach her. Oh. Just then, Adu saw Agars. President, what's this big guy? He asked curiously. She's Agars, a demon god, Qin Zhao said. Oh, Agars, do you have any special abilities? My bow and arrow can hit any target I lock onto, Agars said. How? By having the magical aura I remember. In other words, if the target doesn't have a magical aura, I can't lock onto them, right? Yes. You fight enemies with bows and arrows. And my claws, Agars said expressionlessly. Agars said expressionlessly. Or perhaps Qin Zhao couldn't understand her expression. Anyway, Qin Zhao felt that Agar's tone was cold and her expression was cool. Try to attack me. No. Familiars aren't allowed to attack their master. I allow it. Chapter 11:26. West, you try Agars. Agars turned his head and looked at Qin Zhao. Should I kill him? No, no. Qin Zhao hurriedly stopped Agars. Forget it. Don't try. With Agars's personality, who knew if she wouldn't know how to control her strength and directly blow up West's head? West, forget it. It was too tiring to speak human language and demon language to Agars at the same time. Agars, you'd better use your bow and arrow to find something to shoot at. Anything. Can I shoot whoever I want? Hearing Agars's tone, Qin Zhao had a bad feeling. Don't shoot living things or buildings, Qin Zhao added. Qin Zhao added, just shoot at the surface of the lake. There are fish in the lake, Agars said. I told you to shoot. Don't talk nonsense. Qin Zhao was getting impatient. Do you want me to shoot as hard as I can? All right, shoot with all your strength. They came to the lake. Agars picked up his bow, knocked an arrow, and pulled the string. Agars's bow was already pulled to a full moon. Everyone stared at Agars. She'd been preparing for too long. Qin Zhao checked the time. Agars had been pulling the bow for 30 seconds. Just then, Agars's hand loosened slightly. The arrow left the bowstring and instantly pierced the surface of the lake 100 meters away. Boom! A huge water pillar shot into the sky, as if a torpedo had been detonated in the lake. Everyone stared at Agars, dumbfounded. It was almost as powerful as a small rocket, right? Soon, a large number of dead fish floated to the surface of the lake. Qin Zhao was secretly shocked. Agars's attack was really powerful. However, it took too long to charge up. It needed more than 30 seconds. Agars, can't you attack quickly? Yes, but I can't make it so powerful, Agars said. Agars said, I have a lockdown mode, a group attack mode, and a killing mode. That was the killing mode I used just now. What's group attack mode like? Agar's took out another arrow and knocked it on the bowstring. This time, it didn't take as long to charge up. It only took 10 seconds. Chen Zhao was confused. It was only an arrow. How could it be a group attack? The arrows suddenly turned into dozens of arrows in midair, and then fell to the ground like meteors. Boom, boom, boom. Each arrow exploded like a grenade. This AoE attack mode was like dozens of grenades exploding at the same time. The entire lake was a mess, and the water was tumbling and turbid. West was amazed and secretly delighted. With Agar's joining, the association's strength had increased significantly. What about lockdown mode? Lockdown mode can only be used on living creatures. West, try Agar's lockdown mode. Guild leader, she won't kill me, right? No, she's very obedient. All right. West was still worried and looked at Agar's with trepidation. Regardless of whether Agar's understood or not, he begged for mercy. Agar's, be gentle. Agar's knocked another arrow and shot at West. Chun Zhao was shocked too. West was so frightened that he used his slow field. In an instant, Agar's arrow stopped in front of West for a second. West covered his head and scurried away. Only then did the arrow advance again. But the arrow was like a homing missile. It clearly turned around and chased after West. West looked back and saw the arrow chasing after him. Right now, West could no longer use the slow field. The arrow was about to hit him. Suddenly, the arrow exploded into a cloud of white mist, enveloping West. When the white mist dissipated, West's body was covered in a layer of what looked like frost. West was rooted to the spot like a statue. He also maintained his running posture. Agar's variety of attacks surprised Chen Zhao, but what surprised him more wasn't Agar's. In Chen Zhao's mind, Agar's ability was inevitable. Instead, it was West who used the slow field in that instant. He actually managed to make the arrow stop. In the past, West could at most make people slow down in the field, but his power seemed to have increased a lot. More and more people came to the association. They all knew Agar's identity without blinking. On the other hand, Aduz explained to them one by one. The seal that Agar's put on West lasted for half an hour before West was able to escape. Everyone get to know each other. Chen Zhao had Agar's, and the others recognized each other. Everyone was curious about Agar's strange appearance. Agar's doesn't understand the human language. Communicate with her more often and let her understand it as soon as possible. Agar's, come with me. I have some questions for you. Agar's followed behind Chen Zhao. Agar's, are you Belial's subordinate? Chen Zhao asked. King Belial sealed me in the demon god pillar. I'm not his subordinate. Whoever has the demon god pillar is the master. Agar's words made Chen Zhao even more certain that Agar's was one of the 72 demon god pillars. Do you know a crocodile monster? He's also a servant of the demon god pillar. Celios. He's the representative of the manic side. What's the manic side? Back then, King Belial lent the 72 of us to Solomon. The 72 are divided into the neutral, manic, and submissive. The manic side doesn't think that humans have the right to control us, so they aren't willing to cooperate with Solomon's command. That's why Solomon forged a chain for the manic side and the manic side. What about you? Are you a neutral or a submissive? I'm a submissive. Agar's answer didn't surprise Chen Zhao. Then, what's the neutral side's position? They're loyal to King Belial, but they don't reject human domination. After all, to us, human life is too short. Us, on the other hand, have nearly infinite life. What's the use of the chain? Can a chain make the manic sides serve and obey? No. The chain's use is for the master of the demon god pillar to borrow the magic of the tamed monster. Chun Zhao nodded. No wonder the crocodile monster could break the chain. Do you know where the other demon god pillars are? No. Before Solomon died, he split us up and sent us to different corners of the world. Chapter 11, 27. I don't know, Agar said. I don't know what happened either. Do you have any restrictions on your movements? No, but I can't be more than 5 miles away from the demon god pillar. One last question. Can you change your tone? Agar still stared at Chen Zhao coldly. Chen Zhao had a rough understanding. The demon god pillar couldn't completely restrain a familiar's will. Every familiar had its own personality. The only restriction was that the familiar couldn't attack the user. After staying in the association for 2 hours, Chen Zhao went to Stephen's set. Today, Stephen was filming an outdoor scene. It was the building where Stephen and Raspa had been kidnapped. Because the kidnapping had gone viral on the internet, the abandoned building in the suburbs had become a tourist spot for many people. Stephen had bought the land a long time ago. He knew very well that after the movie was released, the value of the land would increase again. Stephen wasn't just an excellent director. He was also an excellent businessman. He knew when he needed to invest and when he couldn't. When Chen Zhao arrived at the set, Stephen was explaining the scene to a few actors. 2 of them were Wang He and Chen Ku, but Chen Zhao remembered that Chen Ku didn't have any scenes here. Of course, this was based on the actual situation. Chen Zhao hadn't read Stephen's script carefully, so he didn't know if the plot had been changed. The other 2 main actors were 2 old men. They should be playing Raspa and Stephen respectively. In the script, they were friends who loved each other and killed each other for life. They were set to fall in love with the same woman when they were young. Later, the woman married Stephen. Later, Raspa became a big boss and Stephen became a big director. However, the 2 were like enemies in the beginning. They schemed and slandered each other. Chen Zhao's bodyguard was Raspa's adopted son and then Stephen's bodyguard. Chen Zhao didn't know if Stephen had set up this character to satisfy his own bad taste. Chen Zhao looked at Stephen from afar and didn't disturb him. Stephen seemed to sense something. He turned his head and looked in Chen Zhao's direction. Jerry, come and film the later scenes for me. Stephen called the assistant director over. Chen Zhao recognized Jerry. He was also an important assistant in Stephen's team. Unexpectedly, he was promoted to assistant director this time. Jerry knew James's path. He knew that James had gotten the chance because he was close to Chen Zhao. So, whenever Chen Zhao came to the set, Jerry would come and greet him whenever he was free. Stephen walked over. Chen, why are you here today? I'm looking for Gaia. By the way, where's Gaia? Why don't I see her? Gaia has gone to deal with some trouble, Stephen said. Trouble? Did someone cause trouble for your crew? Chen Zhao asked. No, it's just the paparazzi who want to take photos of the crew, Stephen said. It was also because Stephen's movie had received too much attention. Therefore, too many entertainment media outlets wanted to dig up the latest insider information about Stephen's movie. Some paparazzi even crossed the mountains, trying to enter the set from other directions. These paparazzi are so annoying. There was even a paparazzi who snuck into the set and ran into the actress' dressing room. Gaia was furious. After listening to Stephen's explanation, Chen Zhao was enlightened. Gaia was the only one who could solve this problem. How's the filming going? Chen Zhao asked. Not bad. That Chinese actor is okay. If Wang he knew that Stephen had a good review, he would probably wake up laughing in his dreams. Of course, it was only good because Stephen was filming a commercial film, not an art film. Acting only required the feeling. It wasn't like an art film where one's gaze had to convey a lot of content. Just then, Gaia returned to the set. Hey, Chen, how come you're free today? Chen Zhao glanced at Stephen. Did you guys discuss to use the same question to open the show? You guys talk. I'm going to watch the scene. Stephen bade farewell to Gaia and left. Chen Zhao took out 2 potions and gave them to Gaia. These are yours. You can't use them separately or all at once. If there's a long interval, the second time will lose its effect. You can only increase your magic power once. Got it. Are you here to give me the potions? Also, we have a special member. Special member? Gaia looked up at Chen Zhao. What kind of special? You've heard of Solomon's 72 demon god pillars, right? I had a university education, after all. Gaia rolled her eyes. There's a demon god pillar in our association. I summoned a familiar called Agars. Oh, I'll go take a look after the crew's work is done. Hearing about the familiar, Gaia was also interested. The next day, Evely came to Qinzhao's house. She also brought a small gift for Feilai. After all, she was a guest. Evely's social skills were quite good. Little Jerlin had seen Evely once, but it was 2 or 3 months ago. She couldn't remember Evely at all. She just tilted her head and looked at Evely. But Jerlin wasn't afraid of strangers at all. Some kids would hide behind their elders when they saw strangers. But soon, she lost interest in Evely. Little Jerlin didn't even bother to wear clothes at home. She just ran around in diapers or jumped into the lake to play. There were no open-crotch pants in America. Even kids weren't allowed to wear them. There was once a Chinese woman who took her child for a walk in the park for the first time. A passerby called the police because her child was wearing open-crotch pants. Of course, this was a difference in customs. You couldn't say which was better or worse. Everyone had their own pros and cons. Some kids in America were used to diapers, so they still wore them when they were in their teens. They still needed them when they slept at night. Without them, they would wet the bed. But open-crotch pants weren't all good. They could make it easier for kids to pee, but they weren't hygienic. However, open-crotch pants were not hygienic. After all, a child's lower body was exposed, and it was easy to cause some infections. In short, the laws in the United States were very strict on the protection of children. In China, parents were the ones who were overly protective of kids. Chapter 11:28. Before Evely entered the water, Jerlin jumped in first. And what made her feel strange was that Jerlin actually swam to the center of the lake alone. How far was it from the center of the lake? It was at least 1,000 meters away. Most adults wouldn't be able to swim that far. But Jerlin swam more than 1,000 meters by herself. Chen, is Jerlin that fit? She's been soaking in the water every day since she came to this house, Chen Zhao said. Evely had heard Chen Zhao say that the lake water here had something beneficial to the human body. It could greatly improve a person's body. It seemed that Jerlin had been soaking in the lake since she was young. Her body was much stronger than other children her age. After all, Evely had never seen a child less than half a year old with such good stamina. But normal families probably wouldn't let their children play in the water. When Jerlin played in the water, the family's pets would always follow. Ever since Evely had seen Jerlin, she'd always had pets by her side. Black Ma and White Ma were always by little Jerlin's side. They were like full-time nannies, moving from land to water. Chin, is Jerlin going to be a swimmer in the future? If she's willing, Qin Zhao said, I won't choose any path for her. Evely really envied a father like Chen Zhao. Compared to her father, if she hadn't made a name for herself in the swimming world, her future would probably be fixed too. But now, Evely was completely out of her father's control. The price was that she had to be a free spokesperson for the family business. Evely's income now was probably not even comparable to her family business. She earned hundreds of millions of dollars from events, advertisements, and endorsements every year. This was also a level that only top sports stars could reach. Go into the water first. Swim 5 laps in a straight line, Qin Zhao said. You don't have to rush. Just enjoy the lake water. Eat at my place for lunch. After Evely went into the water, Qin Zhao and Feilai laid on the recliners in the front yard and basked in the sun. The temperature was a bit high today. It was already 28 degrees at 9 in the morning. Chin, is this how you coach? Feilai was speechless. What's the point of me going into the water? Qin Zhao had already swum 20 laps in the morning. By the way, I found another demon god pillar yesterday. I'll take you to see it in the afternoon. He found the second demon god pillar so quickly, I didn't really find it. It has always been in the headquarters of the association. but I didn't pay attention to it. Yesterday, I suddenly found a demon god pillar in the headquarters. To be honest, even Chen Zhao felt that it was too much of a coincidence. What is that demon god like? Wait, let's not talk about it. Let me see for myself. If you tell me, it won't feel fresh anymore. After a morning of training, Evely had a great appetite. Moreover, the lunch Qin Zhao had prepared today was all suitable for Evely. This was a feast for Evely. Evely even felt that the meal had made her more energetic. In the afternoon, Chen Zhao trained Evely for another 2 hours and then sent her away. Then he brought Fei Lai and Zhilin to the headquarters of the association. After entering the headquarters, Fei Lai saw the demon god pillar standing on the empty ground. Where's the demon god? Where is it? I don't know. I'll ask. Chen Zhao brought Fei Lai into the building and stopped Patya, who was walking toward them. Patya, where's Agar's? Mr. West is teaching Agar's English. He's in the meeting room. Fei Lai turned to look at Chen Zhao. What the hell was English? Chen Zhao brought Fei Lai to the meeting room and saw Agar's tall figure squeezed in. Even though she was sitting on the ground, she still had to lower her head. If she raised her head, she would touch the chandelier above her head. West stood in front, a blackboard hanging in front of him. Hello, Agar said to Chen Zhao. This was the only word she'd learned today. Chen, is she the demon god? Yes. Fei Lai looked at Agar's curiously. Zhilin, who was in her arms, was even more surprised. Hug, hug, hug. Zhilin wanted to leave Fei Lai's arms and jump into Agar's arms. Fei Lai put Zhilin on the ground. Zhilin was already on Agar's body, climbing onto Agar's chest. Then Zhilin lifted Agar's hide to cover her chest and opened her mouth to bite. Chen Zhao covered his head with his hand, speechless. The scene was very awkward. But what was unexpected was that Agar seemed very calm. Carefully holding Zhilin with his claws, he pulled her away from his chest. Master, is this your child? Agar asked. Yes. She has an extraordinary life. Her future is pure and bright. No matter who it was, they would feel proud when someone praised their child. Chen Zhao was no exception. He was very happy with Agar's words. This is for you. Chen Zhao tossed a perfect demonic crystal to Agar's. Agar's accepted the crystal. She didn't expect Chen Zhao to be so generous as to give her something so valuable. So this is your wife? Yes. The child in her stomach will be filled with golden light. You can see the future. I can see the light of the future. It's my special ability, Agar said. Everyone will have different colors of light. What about me? Chaotic colors, countless colors interweave together. Is this a good thing or a bad thing? I don't know. I can't tell good from bad with complicated colors. Does every tamed monster have a special ability? Every tamed monster in the 72 demon god pillars has a special ability, Agar said. What's Celio's special ability? He can obtain magic from any environment with temperature. His magic is almost limitless. Wasn't this ability the same as Lisa? Lisa could also absorb and release heat. However, Lisa couldn't be like Celio's. She couldn't feel any pain even when her body was ignited. According to Agar's, she could borrow the magic of the tamed monster through the chain. If Celio's was still alive, then he could use this characteristic of Celio's to obtain nearly unlimited mana. Chapter 1129. Zhilin was tired after playing for a while at the headquarters. There were no animals here. She wanted to go home. Chen Zhao and Fei Lai could only take Zhilin home. On the way home, Chen Zhao received Laura's call. Hey, Chen, can you come over? Johnny's hurt. Chen Zhao was stunned. Then he immediately said, Okay, I'll be right there. After Chen Zhao hung up, Fei Lai asked, What's wrong? Risvar's hurt, Chen Zhao said. What's the situation? I don't know the details. Chen Zhao turned and drove toward Beverly Hills. 10 minutes later, Chen Zhao arrived at Risvar's house. The security guard immediately opened the door for him. Laura stood at the door, waiting for Chen Zhao's arrival. After Chen Zhao and Fei Lai got out, Jerlin immediately yelled in Fei Lai's arms, "Auntie Laura, hug!" Laura squeezed out a smile and caught Jerlin. "Laura, how's Johnny?" "Johnny was attacked by a shark." Chen Zhao sucked in a breath of cold air. "Take me to him." When Chen Zhao entered Risvar's bedroom, he realized that Del was there too. "Chin, you're here." Chen Zhao nodded and turned to look at Risvar on the bed. He wasn't as bloody as Chen Zhao had imagined, but he looked really weak. "Didn't you say that Johnny was attacked by a shark?" "Johnny and I were surfing on the beach," Del said. "His surfboard was hit by a shark and Johnny was hit by a rock at the bottom of the sea." Thankfully, Chen Zhao heaved a sigh of relief. It was just a bump. He wasn't bitten by a shark directly. That was a good thing. Usually, when a shark bit someone, the shark's teeth would cause great damage to the victim. If the main artery was bitten, not even an ambulance would be able to get there in time. "Move aside," Chen Zhao said. "I'll check." Chen Zhao lifted Risvar's blanket to check his injuries. There was a very obvious bruise on the left side of his abdomen to his upper ribs. Chen Zhao reached out and pressed down. The unconscious Risvar suddenly screamed. "Ah!" Laura heard Risvar scream and immediately ran to the door. "It's okay. Laura, stay with Fei Lai outside," Chen Zhao comforted. Chen Zhao looked at Svar. "You're awake." "Chin, why are you here?" "Be gentle," Risvar said weakly. "If you get hurt next time, call an ambulance first, not me," Chen Zhao said in annoyance. "Doctors aren't as insured as you," Del said. "The ambulance came faster than me." Chen Zhao glared at Del. "Johnny isn't just injured. He also has water in his lungs." "Is Johnny okay?" "He won't be able to walk for half a month." Chen Zhao started treating Risvar. Chen Zhao took out a syringe and pierced it into the lung. Then he started extracting the lung fluid. "The next time you get hurt, call an ambulance immediately. I happen to be outside this time, so it's not far from here." I got it, Del replied, trying to cope. Chen Zhao started setting Risvar's bones. His ribs weren't comminuted. Instead, they were dislocated due to the impact, so it wasn't difficult to treat. However, there was some muscle damage. Risvar endured the pain until Chen Zhao stopped. Then he complained, "Chen, can you give me some anesthetic?" "Where did you meet the shark while surfing?" "Shoal. That's one of the few places with high waves." "Oh, where's Ronnie and Vera? Why aren't they here?" "Laura was afraid that they'd see their dad get hurt," Del said. "She sent them to my house and let them play with Faith. Good thing it's not fatal." Chen Zhao heaved a sigh of relief. "Oh, I bought a beach. I'm building a villa there now. The waves are pretty high too. You can go surfing there." "What? You bought a beach? When did you buy it? Why didn't you tell us?" Del and Risvar's reactions were intense. "Are you selling the house at Mirror Lake?" "Fuck off. Don't even think about Mirror Lake. I still want to live there." Chen Zhao cut off their thoughts. "Where did you buy the beach?" "It's in the direction of Sandro National Park. It's just across the road. I heard that there are a lot of sharks there." Risvar had just been attacked by a shark, so he was still traumatized. "After I move there, I'll chase the sharks away." "How?" Del asked. Idiot Amon, of course. Thinking of Amon's terrifying size, the two didn't have any more doubts. Amon was probably the largest creature in the ocean. No, he was the largest creature on Earth. To be honest, if Amon was here, they would feel an unparalleled safe haven. Just then, Laura walked to the door. "Chin, how's Johnny? He can talk and laugh. He should be fine. Stay here for dinner. I'll ask the kitchen to prepare dinner." "Okay." Laura didn't just want to be the host. She was also worried about Risvar's injuries. As long as Chen Zhao was here, she would feel much more at ease. Soon, Fisher, Ronnie, and Vera came too. Because the three girls were sent to Mirror Lake by bodyguards every few days. Jerlin was very familiar with them. The 4 little girls could be said to be the 4 heavenly kings. Whether it was at Mirror Lake or this manor, they were simply lawless. The only non-human creature in the manor, Laugher, was already tormented by the 4 girls. Phalai and Ronnie sat in the yard and chatted. Ronnie taught Phalai many things from her experience. Of course, she mainly talked about things that pregnant women needed to pay attention to. As for food, Ronnie didn't talk at all. With Chen Zhao by her side, she didn't need to tell them what they could and couldn't eat. Ronnie was even planning to have a second child, so she asked Chen Zhao what to eat. Chen Zhao even arranged a recipe for Ronnie. What to eat in the first month, what to eat in the second month, all the way to the 9th month. For example, when to have intercourse and what to eat to increase the chances of getting pregnant. Chen Zhao was Ronnie and Risvar's most trusted person, so they were busy making babies too. Chen Zhao, Risvar, and Del chatted in a room. Chin, do you plan to marry Phalai? Of course. Why do you ask? Chapter 1130. Del and I opened a hotel together. It's going to open next month. You, Phalai, and Jerlin can come to the opening ceremony. Okay. Chen Zhao didn't reject. Chin, I heard that China has feng shui, right? Del looked at Chen Zhao, his eyes sparkling. Before he finished, Chen Zhao could guess what he was planning. I don't know feng shui, but I can introduce you to someone, Chen Zhao said. Chen Zhao thought of Li Qing. Li Qing looked like a typical Chinese woman. She wasn't very educated, but she was hardworking and honest. But Chen Zhao knew Li Qing's real identity. She was a warlock. Li Qing knew feng shui and physiognomy. Oh, why do you suddenly want to know feng shui? Chen Zhao was confused. Our hotel was a bankrupt hotel, and we bought it at a low price. Apparently, before that, someone committed suicide in the hotel. At the same time, there were supernatural incidents. Then we found a priest, and after the priest walked around the hotel, he said that the location of the hotel was very strange, and it was best to find a Chinese feng shui master to take a look. You're the only Chinese we know, so we thought of you, Del explained. How about this? When you're free, I'll bring the feng shui master I know to your hotel, but I can't guarantee that she'll be able to help you. When will you be free in the near future? I have a lot of time. My friend can spare some time too, Chen Zhao said. It depends on you two. Risvar can't get out of bed for now. Del, you can take us there. I can go any time too, Del answered casually. I said at night. At night? Why? Didn't you say that supernatural incidents happen in the hotel? How can you see them in the day? It's more likely to happen at night. You're crazy. There's no one in the hotel right now. Won't you be scared to death if you go to such a big hotel at night? It's not like you're alone. I have my friend with you. Can I not go? If you're scared, you can stay at the door. I'll go in with my friend. Chen Zhao didn't force Del to go in. He just needed him to lead the way. That was all. Oh, why do you want to open a hotel? Chen Zhao asked curiously. Mainly because Del wants to do something. Risvar said. That's why he's interested in that hotel. However, he doesn't have enough cash on hand, so he dragged me along. I saw that the hotel's facilities and location are pretty good. It doesn't require too much investment, and the price is rather low. It's a pretty good choice as an investment. Didn't you know that the hotel was in trouble before you bought it? I know, but I didn't pay too much attention to it. The price of that hotel was too low. When did you realize there was a problem? We wanted to ask the original hotel manager to come back and continue working for us, but the hotel manager refused to come back no matter what. He even said some strange things and told us to be careful. The two of us felt a little uncomfortable, so we went to find a priest. Where did you find that priest? He's an old priest. I was introduced to him by someone else. How about tomorrow night? So fast? Isn't it better to solve the problem earlier? I need to prepare, Del said hesitantly. What do you need to prepare? Mentally prepare. Chen Zhao rolled his eyes. The three chatted until Laura came in and called them for dinner. Risvar still couldn't sit at the table, so he could only watch Chen Zhao and Dell leave. During dinner, little Jerlin, Faith, Ronnie, and Vera played hard. When they got home, little Jerlin, Faith, Ronnie, and Vera had a life-and-death farewell. It was as if they would never see each other again. The four children cried their hearts out. "Chin, why didn't you say anything? Are you tired?" "No." Johnny and Dell opened a hotel together. Their new hotel seems to have encountered a supernatural incident. I'm going to check it out tomorrow night. It's just a supernatural incident. Why are you so worried? To Fei Lai, a small supernatural incident was nothing to Qin Zhao. The problem this time might not be as simple as a supernatural incident. If it's just a few evil spirits, it can be easily solved. It might be related to feng shui. Oh, feng shui? I've studied it. Fei Lai was instantly energized. She started explaining what she'd learned from the books. This kind of hotel is haunted because the front door is facing north. Black tortoise is water and the air is cold. The wind blows the cold air into the building, and it gathers. After a while, it becomes a land of Yin. Fei Lai continued, "Chen, bring me tomorrow night. I might be able to give you some pointers and change the layout slightly. That way, you can change the feng shui." "Fei Lai, pregnant people can't go to that kind of place. You have to stay away from it. The cold air is quite harmful to people, especially pregnant women." Chen Zhao's words dispelled Fei Lai's thoughts. She was rather depressed. Chen Zhao didn't know feng shui, but he clearly didn't trust Fei Lai. Ever since Fei Lai got pregnant, she'd been learning Mandarin and feng shui. As long as she thought it was related to Chinese culture, she would learn it. Recently, she'd fallen in love with ink painting. She could already draw runes on a piece of flawless xian paper. She didn't have any teachers to guide her. She learned from videos on the internet and some books. It would be a miracle if she could learn anything. What made Chen Zhao speechless was that Fei Lai had collected all of her works. To put it nicely, each work was proof of her progress. If she became famous in the future, these paintings would be very valuable. Most of the time, Chen Zhao loved her. As long as Fei Lai liked it, he liked it too. But Chen Zhao really wanted to burn the works that insulted China's ink painting. Chen Zhao always felt that Fei Lai's ink painting had some kind of magic. It was a magic that people couldn't like. Chen Zhao had once tried to comfort himself by saying that those paintings were only the works of beginners. But after seeing Jerlin's decent works, Chen Zhao completely recognized the truth. Fei Lai really didn't have any artistic talent. Fei Lai's works only embodied 2/3 of the essence of ink painting. Moreover, Fei Lai was learning the most complicated category of ink painting, splashing painting. Chapter 1131. The next day, Evely continued her training at Mirror Lake. Evely could clearly feel the cells in her body becoming active during the training. It was completely different from swimming in a pool. Even after swimming for 10,000 meters, her breathing was still very smooth. In the afternoon, after Evely left, Qin Zhao planned to go find Li Qing. "Qin, if you encounter any problems with feng shui there, you can call me at any time." Qin Zhao could tell that Fei Lai really wanted to show off her feng shui knowledge. Qin Zhao wondered if he should create an opportunity for Fei Lai to do so. Of course, haunted hotels definitely wouldn't work. Even if the risk was small, Qin Zhao didn't want Fei Lai to come into contact with such an environment. After arriving at Ethan's hotel, Qin Zhao swaggered in. Ethan happened to be carrying a plate of freshly filled burgers. Seeing Qin Zhao, he took the plate and left. Qin Zhao rolled his eyes and took out a drink from the vending machine. "Fuck! Why do you have the key to the vending machine?" "Of course. Whatever you have, the key is in the counter." Qin Zhao rolled his eyes and took a burger from Ethan's plate. "Did you know that I'd make a burger at this time?" "I'm not here for you today," Qin Zhao said. "Who else are you here for? Do you have friends staying here?" "Auntie Li." Just then, Li Qing walked out. You're here, Li? Yes. Mr. Chen, please wait a moment. I need to finish my business, Li Qing said. It's early anyway. No rush, Chen Zhao said. Take your time. Chen, why are you here, Li? None of your business. Chen Zhao glanced at Ethan. You ate my food and stole my employee. Am I not allowed to ask? Chen Zhao slapped a check on Ethan's table. Can I do it now? Ethan picked up the check. It was $400,000. I won't ask. Ethan smiled brightly. Ethan had a great time working with Chen Zhao. Logically speaking, Chen Zhao could have canceled the collaboration long ago or just reduced the commission. But Chen Zhao had never done that. He didn't even have the intention. He felt that it was Ethan who had helped him in his most difficult time. In the beginning, Ethan had only chosen her for his own benefit. But no matter what, Ethan did help him. When he first arrived in Los Angeles, he had no friends. He didn't even know what he should do. Ethan was also introducing the best clients to him. Emotions are strange things. You don't know when it happens, but by the time you realize it, it already exists naturally. Ethan would always share some information with him. After a while, Li Qing came out. Ethan was stunned when he saw Li Qing's attire. At this moment, Li Qing was dressed like a Taoist nun with a yellow crown on her head. Li Qing had worn the same outfit during the previous New Year. Then she set up an incense table in front of the door and danced there. A Taoist nun is also called a nun. In ancient times, women did not have crowns. Only female Taoists would have crowns, which was why they were called female crowns. Li, why are you wearing this today? Mr. Chen asked me to take care of something, so I'm wearing this. Can't normal clothes do? Or is there some magic in these clothes? No, I believe in Taoism. If I use Taoist spells, I have to wear traditional clothes to respect my teachings. You can also understand the reason why priests wear monk robes. Li Qing's Taoist robe didn't have any enchantments. It was just because she paid more attention to tradition. If she didn't use Taoist spells in a sudden situation, Li Qing would wear the Taoist robe and appear as a Taoist nun. Oh, what time will you be back tonight? I don't know. Okay. After saying goodbye to Ethan, Li Qing got into Chen Zhao's car. Mr. Chen, you seem to have completed ultimate transformation. Li Qing glanced at Chen Zhao. Her cultivation wasn't as high as Chen Zhao's, but Chen Zhao didn't have great control over his cultivation. Taoists also had the ability to see through people. Even if he faced someone with higher cultivation than him, he could still see through them if he didn't know how to hide it. Is it that obvious? Mr. Chen, there's a technique in Qingyi sect. You can take a look when you're free. Okay. Thank you, Auntie Li. Mr. Chen, in Taoism, ultimate transformation is the peak. Qingyi sect's techniques can only reach this level, but it's said that there's a Shang-Qing state. What's Shang-Qing state? Shang-Qing is heaven and earth, while Shang-Qing is emptiness. That's why it's also called emptiness of heaven and earth. This is recorded in some Taoist books, but I'm afraid I can't answer more than that. In ancient times, famous Taoists cultivated to ultimate transformation was already the peak. One would appear every few hundred years, but emptiness of heaven and earth was only recorded in books. No one had ever reached emptiness of heaven and earth. Chen Zhao had no idea. It seemed that he had to ask Old Turtle later. Perhaps Old Turtle could point out the path for his current level and his future. Many of the spells of the Qingyi sect were created by the founder of the Qingyi sect, Shangliu Qingyi. Shangliu Qingyi was an ultimate transformation expert, so these spells can only be used by ultimate transformation experts. Mr. Chen, why don't you study Qingyi's records? Chen Zhao nodded. Qingyi sect's books had indeed helped him a lot when he was growing up. Mr. Chen, where are we going now? Beverly Hills. My friend's house is there. He's taking us to his hotel personally, Chen Zhao said. I really don't understand. Why does he have to lead the way himself? He's so scared. There's a custom in the West, Li Qing said. If outsiders enter a new shop, the owner has to accompany them. When they arrived at Dell's house, Chen Zhao called him. A while later, Dell came out. Dell glanced at Chen Zhao and Li Qing from the car window. Chin, the lady you mentioned, is the helper. You better be polite to her. She's an Easter magician. Be careful, she might curse you. Dell immediately gave in. Okay, miss, I'm sorry. I was wrong. I can't fit in this car. I'll get a bigger one here. Chapter 1132. Chen Zhao and Li Qing arrived at the entrance of the hotel. When they saw the hotel, they couldn't help but gasp. So big. They both thought the same thing. The hotel was an arc-shaped building. It was estimated to be 50 stories high and 400 to 500 meters long. The scale of this hotel was very large, and there was a large green belt. Dell, how much did you and Risvar pay for this hotel? $230 million. Worth it, Chen Zhao said. The building before them probably cost more than $300 million. I don't understand the building's entrance. It faces the south, which is fire. Fire brings wealth. There are also palms blocking the door, so it's hard for customers to find the entrance, Li Qing said. Also, the building is curved and close to the coast. When the sea wind blows, it blocks the entire city's water flow and sends the water back into the sea. It's called bringing wealth to the door. Is the water flow good or bad? In feng shui, there is a saying of the 4 symbols and 8 trigrams. Every kind of weather attribute has its good and bad. This building coincides with the pattern of the 100 acupoints Diaocang. The so-called 100 acupoints Diaocang is like this building with 100 eyes and 100 acupoints. Each window is 100 acupoints, but there is no finishing touch. Therefore, the flow of water takes away the fortune. If you can leave an acupoint eye, you can form the finishing touch. The water will turn into a dragon, and the 100 acupoints will return to 1. Chin, what are you talking about? I don't understand. You don't understand, Chen Zhao said. Looking at Li Qing, Chen Zhao said, Auntie Li, I heard that this place is haunted. That's normal. The wind comes and goes, so the owner of this place will have great ups and downs. It's not an auspicious sign. Humans have 7 orifices, so they have to face the ups and downs of life. The 100 acupuncture points are a place with many things. Luck comes but doesn't gather, but misfortune gathers but doesn't disperse. Now that everyone is gone, the building is weak and Een is born. If it's left here for another year or so, this place will probably become a ghost town. Just then, a gust of Een Qi rushed toward the car. Crack! The car window was covered in dense cracks, and they appeared in an instant. Frightened, Dell hurriedly escaped from the car. Chen Zhao and Li Qing also got off the car. Dell was scared out of his wits. Chin, let's not exorcise evil spirits anymore. Let's go. It's scary here. Li Qing raised his head to look at the sky. The bright moon hung high in the sky. Tonight's moon is too bright. The strength of the evil spirits entrenched in this place has also increased greatly. Sister Qing, are you confident? If it's just an evil spirit, there's nothing to be afraid of. Li Qing said, but looking at the Een Qi, I'm afraid someone is doing something evil here. Sister Qing, are you saying that someone is purposely raising ghosts here? That's possible. Li Qing nodded. Mr. Chen, I'll go in and investigate first. You stay here for now. Okay. If you need anything, call me immediately, Chen Zhao said. Just as Li Qing was about to step into the hotel, a gust of cold wind blew towards him. The car behind him seemed to be attacked by some invisible force, and the cracked glass window instantly shattered. Chin, is this lady going in just like that? Are you sure it's okay? Dell's teeth were chattering. Dell had seen many horror movies, and in them the same scene often appeared. It's okay. She's a professional. Chen Zhao and Dell watched as Li Qing disappeared into the hotel. Li Qing entered the hotel alone. However, the hotel was simply too big. It was a super hotel. Just the guest rooms alone numbered more than 2,000. There was also no electricity, so the elevator couldn't be used. Li Qing had to check each floor. Li Qing took out a stack of paper dolls and held them between her fingers. She exhaled on them and waved them lightly. The paper dolls turned into another Li Qing. This spell was called Qi Restoration. The Li Qing that the paper dolls turned into were all Li Qing's breath of air. There could be an unlimited number of them, as long as Li Qing had enough air. However, they couldn't fight at all. Li Qing waited where she was. The clones spread out in all directions. Furthermore, these clones were extremely light. They were able to do things that Li Qing could not do on her own. Because they weren't real, they were just pieces of paper that had a breath of air, so they were very light. At the same time, Dell and Qin Zhao, who were standing outside the hotel, saw countless figures floating up the outer wall of the hotel. "That's—" Dell exclaimed. "What are those?" Qin Zhao's eyes were better, so he could see more clearly. They seemed to be Li Qing, but judging from the number, Qin Zhao guessed that Li Qing had used some kind of cloning spell. Dell had never seen such silence before. He immediately took out his phone to take pictures. Li Qing suddenly felt that one of the clones had been destroyed. At the same time, she sensed where it had been destroyed. This wasn't Li Qing's home ground, but she used this spell to turn the entire hotel into her home ground. Everything was under her control. Those clones were her eyes and her senses. No matter what monsters were hiding here, they couldn't escape her eyes. Taoists had the heavenly eye spell. Li Qing's spell couldn't see everything in the world, but the building could. Li Qing found the floor where the incident had taken place and saw a malicious spirit attacking her doppelganger. The ghost couldn't tell if it was the real one or the clone. When it saw Li Qing's real body, it thought that it would be defeated like the previous clones, so it attacked Li Qing without saying anything. Li Qing pointed with 2 fingers at the malicious ghost's forehead. "Ah, Master, save me." "Qin, do you think that lady is really okay?" Dell asked, feeling uneasy. "She's fine," Qin Zhao said calmly. "She's strong." Just then, Dell suddenly saw a woman in white standing under a streetlight in the distance. But the streetlight kept flashing, alternating between light and darkness. "Qin, look, that woman." Qin Zhao also saw the woman in white. He frowned. The woman had an ominous aura. The woman in white walked towards them barefoot. Every streetlight she passed, the one above her would flash. "Qin, When the woman was less than 10 meters away from Qin Zhao and Dell, she suddenly stopped. Suddenly, the streetlights on both sides fell down without warning, pressing down on Qin Zhao and Dell. Qin Zhao was shocked. He hurriedly pressed Dell to the ground. What kind of spell did the woman use? A spell that could control metal? Just then, the parked car suddenly flew into the air. Chapter 1133. Qin Zhao pulled Dell away. Looking down, he saw that Dell was wet. The woman in white looked at Qin Zhao in surprise, because Qin Zhao wasn't afraid at all. Just then, the fallen lamppost suddenly twisted and swept toward Qin Zhao. Qin Zhao pulled Dell away again. The woman in white also frowned, because Qin Zhao dodged her attacks again and again. "Dell, move away." Qin Zhao pushed Dell away. Qin Zhao was ready to kill, but just then a voice rang out. "Stop, wait, don't do anything." Rupert ran out from the darkness. "Stop, don't do anything." "Rupert, perfect timing," the woman said. "Help me go in and take a look. The little ghost I'm raising is being attacked." Rupert looked at Qin Zhao with a troubled expression. "Qin, it's a misunderstanding. Rupert, do you know him?" Fei Sha was surprised. "Fei Sha, if you attack again, he'll kill you." "Him?" Fei Sha sneered, her face full of disdain. In her eyes, Qin Zhao was at most a wizard. In the past, wizards had always existed as servants of witches. Dell was still in shock. He didn't understand the situation. But it seemed that Qinzhao knew the girl who'd suddenly appeared, and the girl knew the woman in white. "Rupert, go away!" Qinzhao snorted coldly. "Chen, it's a misunderstanding. She wants to kill me and my friend." "It's not a misunderstanding anymore," Qinzhao said. "Rupert, you don't have to do anything here. If you don't want to help me, then go away." Fei Sha was also determined, but Rupert still blocked the two. "Qin, I apologize on behalf of Fei Sha." "No need to apologize," Qinzhao said calmly. "I just want to kill her now." "If you can kill me, then come at me." Suddenly, Dell's car crashed toward Qinzhao without any warning. "Qin, watch out!" Dell exclaimed. Qinzhao was about to be hit by the car, but he blocked it with one hand. Fei Sha's pupils contracted, but the next moment, Qinzhao suddenly closed in on her. So fast! Fei Sha watched as Qinzhao approached, but she didn't even have time to react. Suddenly, a wall of light appeared in front of Fei Sha. Qinzhao's fist smashed into the light wall, and it shattered instantly. But in that split second, an old witch appeared behind Fei Sha and grabbed her by the back of her collar. Then she disappeared. Qinzhao looked around in confusion. "Escaped?" "Rupert, stop right there." Qinzhao turned to look at Rupert, who was planning to escape. Rupert turned her head awkwardly to look at Qinzhao. She forced out a smile. "Hi, Qin, long time no see." "That woman just now, and the old witch who appeared later, who are they? Where did they go?" I don't know them well." Rupert shrugged and spread her hands. Qinzhao narrowed his eyes at Rupert. "Don't think that I won't do anything to you, just because I know Sienna. I might not kill you, but I'll make you want to die even more." "Qin, even if I tell you where they are, you can't do anything to them," Rupert said. "They're witches from the British Witch Club, especially Lady Cybora, who appeared later. She's the top witch in Britain and the only witch in the world who can transmit magic. No one can catch her." At this moment, Li Qing walked out from inside. When she saw the mess outside, she couldn't help but be stunned. "Mr. Chen, what happened here?" "Is it all cleaned up?" "Yes, they've all been cleaned up. Someone has kept more than 10 malicious ghosts inside." Qinzhao turned to Rupert. "Tell me, what happened?" "Actually, Fei Sha didn't mean any harm," Rupert said. "She just saw that this place was empty and suitable for raising ghosts, so she raised some evil spirits. Where are they now?" "Qin, I really can't tell you." "You can't, right? I'll make you tell me." Qinzhao picked up Rupert and said to Dell, "Dell, we're done here. We'll go now." "Wait. Qin, what happened just now was real, right?" Dell asked after Qinzhao. "If you think it's real, then it's real. If you think it's fake, then it's fake. Don't play dumb with me. I need you to answer my question directly. You saw it. Why do you still ask? Chen, you're a wizard too, right? And this lady too? And this little girl? Who are you calling little girl? Do you think I won't curse you?" Rupert glared at Dell. "Ouch. Chin, don't hit my head. Dell, you don't have to get involved. She won't curse you either. Go home." "How do you want me to go home? Don't you have bodyguards? Have them drive a car over." "What about you? It's none of your business. Fuck off." "Don't. Let me follow you." Dell was very interested. "Do you want to see me torture a little girl, break her limbs, dig out her eyes, and soak her in acid?" "Chin, you definitely won't do that to me. I'm only 10. Qinzhao wouldn't really do anything to Rupert. He took out his phone and called Sienna. "Sienna, Rupert's beside me now." You want to call Sienna?" "Don't call her." "No, I don't want to see her." Qinzhao didn't care. He just waited where he was. 20 minutes later, Sienna arrived. When she saw the person beside Qinzhao, she was stunned. "Qin, did Rupert cause trouble?" "I was attacked by a witch from the United Kingdom, but she was rescued by another witch called Cybora." Sienna looked at Rupert. "Rupert, Miss Cybora is already in L.A.? Humph." Rupert turned her head, ignoring Sienna. I don't want to talk to you. Sienna, are you in trouble? Qin Zhao asked. Nothing. Sienna smiled. Rupert, let's go. I don't want to go with you. Sienna looked at Qin Zhao helplessly. Qin, since Rupert doesn't want to go with me, help me watch her. Don't let her escape again. Last time, Rupert stayed at Chen Zhao's house for 2 days and then left without a word. Sienna, I can't watch her. Unless Chen Zhao locked Rupert up, he couldn't watch her at all. He couldn't stay by Rupert's side all the time either. Chapter 1134. Sienna wasn't angry at Rupert. She really wanted to lock Rupert up. However, she couldn't do it herself. So, she decided to let Qin Zhao take her place as the bad guy. With that, Sienna got into the car. Just then, Chris poked her head out. Chen, we're leaving. Goodbye. Mr. Chen, I'm leaving too. Auntie Lee, wait. Dell's car will be here soon. No need. Running at night is good for your body, Li Qing said. Come here. I want to talk to you. Chen Zhao glanced at Rupert. Stand here. If you run, I'll break your legs. With that, Qin Zhao and Li Qing went to a corner. Auntie Li, what do you want to talk about? That girl seems to be a meat cauldron. What's a meat cauldron? It's also called a cauldron in our country. Li Qing glanced at Rupert in the distance. I don't understand, Qin Zhao said, confused. When you encounter some powerful monsters or demons, you use magic to separate the demon's body and soul and seal them into newborns. You mean there's a part of a demon sealed in Rupert's body? Chen Zhao asked, surprised. Maybe, but I don't know if it's true. I just feel like there's something in her body. Also, the Sibylla you just mentioned. 20 years ago, she was part of the British delegation and came to our country for an exchange. That's why I've seen her before. She seemed to be here to exchange spells, but she was actually here to seek help from some sects in our country. She wanted to see how our country handles powerful demons. So did she find it? Sort of. It's this meat cauldron spell. Li Qing glanced at Rupert again. Auntie Li, have you seen this girl before? We met more than 20 years ago at that exchange meeting. She must have slept for more than 20 years. Auntie Li, do you need me to help her? Chen Zhao asked. Chen Zhao felt that Li Qing was looking at Rupert differently. She has an excellent spiritual mirror constitution. She's perfect for cultivating Qingyi sect spells. But she's a foreigner. Now, I'm the only one left in the Green Robe sect. You're considered half a member. If we continue to remain stubborn, I'm afraid that the Green Robes sect won't be far from extinction. Furthermore, with the exchange between the spiritual world and the outside world, some ancient sects have already begun to open branches in various countries or directly recruit foreign disciples. If the Green Robes sect doesn't keep up with the times, we'll be eliminated by the time sooner or later. Chen Zhao didn't expect Li Qing's idea to be so modern. Okay, I'll think of something, Chen Zhao said. Li Qing had helped him a lot, and they had a good relationship. Moreover, Li Qing had taught Chen Zhao before, so he was willing to help her. This is my suggestion for your friend's hotel. Li Qing took out a piece of paper and handed it to Qin Zhao. I'll be leaving now. Sister Qing, be careful on the road. Yes. Li Qing took 2 steps and stopped. She turned back and said, if the thing in the girl's body wants to come out, extract it directly. Don't wait for it to grow stronger. The girl can't take it anymore, and it will harm her life. Okay, got it, Qin Zhao answered. This time, Li Qing really left. Chen Zhao returned to Rupert and Dell. What's sealed in your body? Qin Zhao asked directly. He didn't beat around the bush. Rupert looked up at Chen Zhao. You know. Tell me directly. I think I have a way to help you. You can't. 1/3 of a big demon's soul is sealed in my body. This demon can't be destroyed. Qin Zhao rubbed his forehead. To him, the biggest problem wasn't how to destroy the demon's soul, but how to pull it out of Rupert's body without harming Rupert. Qin, Can you give me the contact information of that lady from China? Dell asked. What do you want? Chen Zhao looked at Dell suspiciously. From Dell's past misdeeds, it was hard for Chen Zhao not to be suspicious of his intentions. I want to hire her to be my hotel's security consultant. She won't agree, Chen Zhao said. Li Qing was too sentimental. She was also the kind of person who would repay favors with a spring. Ethan had taken her in, so she wouldn't go anywhere now. She was only willing to stay in the hotel and help Ethan. What if we encounter similar things in the future? You're so stupid. Since you're so close to Chin, why don't you go to him directly? He's the strongest spiritualist in LA. There's nothing he can't solve. Dell looked at Chen Zhao. Chen Zhao immediately said, Don't come to me for this kind of small trouble. Sienna takes this kind of thing. I'll give you her contact information, but it depends on her time. She's the security consultant for the power company now. So if you encounter similar things, you can only wait until she's free. Chin, I think the China lady is more reliable. This is Sister Qing's suggestion for your hotel. As long as you follow her suggestion, this kind of thing will basically not happen in your hotel anymore. But don't you China people have a saying? It's better to be safe than sorry. You're so troublesome, Chen Zhao said in annoyance. Actually, if Dell encountered something supernatural, he could just call Chen Zhao and Chen Zhao would definitely come to help. Just give me Ms. Li's number. I told you that she won't be your security consultant. No. Chen Zhao shook his head. Li Qing was different from Sienna. Giving Sienna's number to Dell was to introduce Sienna to a client. But Li Qing wasn't in this line of work. If Chen Zhao hadn't asked for her help, she wouldn't have come. Chin, why are you like this? I told you to call this number if you're in trouble. Ms. Sienna is also a professional spiritualist. But I want to find the China lady. What exactly do you want? Dell's face reddened. After a while, he said, I want her to be my teacher. What? Chen Zhao's eyes widened. Are you crazy? No, I'm serious. Dell looked at Chen Zhao seriously. After taking a photo with his phone, he could tell that the figures were all Li Qing. In his eyes, Li Qing was definitely a godlike person. He even felt that Chen Zhao was Li Qing's junior. That was why he wanted to be her disciple. Do you know what it means to be a China disciple? What does it mean? There's a saying in China that a teacher for a day is a father for life. Ms. Li's children are all dead, so you have to be filial to her like a son. You even have to take care of her when she dies. Chapter 1135. Are you serious? How am I not serious? Chen Zhao looked at Dell seriously. He really wanted to tell Dell that he wasn't serious from head to toe. It's not easy to get Annie Qing's approval. If you don't have the talent, you won't be accepted. Don't you Chinese say that hard work makes up for a lack of talent? You don't have talent. Cultivating magic isn't like other skills. Most people in the world can't cultivate. It's useless no matter how hard you work. Rupert was good at adding insult to injury. Chin, do you think I have talent? I don't think so. I'll ask Annie Qing later. Just then, Dell's bodyguard drove over. Okay, let's go. Chen, I still have something to say. If you keep nagging, I'll ask Auntie Qing to reject you. Okay, I'm going. Dell was unwilling, but he still got in the car obediently. Let's go. Chen Zhao glanced at Rupert. Where are we going? Near? Rupert was even more unwilling, and it was completely shown on her face. Moreover, she always did whatever she wanted because she was a kid. She would only restrain herself a little in front of Chen Zhao. She knew that if Chen Zhao wanted to punish her, he wouldn't care if she was a kid or not. Come, get on my back. You want to carry me? Rupert couldn't believe it. Chen Zhao was so generous. Her impression of Chen Zhao was that he was a violent person. As long as it wasn't his friend, he would treat them in a violent way. But she clearly wasn't his friend. Rupert climbed onto Chen Zhao's back unwillingly. Hold on tight. Hold on tight. Hold on tight? Yes. Okay. Suddenly, Qin Zhao sped up. Oh, oh. Rupert felt the strong wind slap her face. When she opened her mouth, the wind poured into her mouth. Right now, Rupert only wanted to escape from Chen Zhao's back, but Chen Zhao's hands were firmly gripping her legs. She couldn't break free at all. The night wind whipped Rupert's face hard. Rupert had never felt so real or so fast. She couldn't even open her eyelids, and the skin on her face was completely deformed. If you were sitting in a car traveling at 150 kilometers per hour and stuck your head out of the window facing the wind, you wouldn't be able to speak. Moreover, Qin Zhao was moving at full speed. The huge wind pressure at 500 kilometers per hour was enough to make Rupert want to die. Rupert could only hide behind Qin Zhao. She watched as the streetlights on the road moved backward. This feeling lasted for 10 minutes before it stopped. Chen Zhao put Rupert on the ground. Rupert looked at the building before her. She didn't understand where she was. At this moment, the guard inside opened the iron gate. Guild leader, why are you here? I have something to do. Go rest first, Qin Zhao said. Qin Zhao brought Rupert into the headquarters. At this moment, West ran over. Guild leader, why are you here? Prepare a room for her and have someone keep an eye on her. If she dares to run away, you can take any form of attack. West glanced at Rupert. He didn't understand how a little girl like her had offended Qin Zhao. But then he thought about Risa. She was only in her teens, but after offending Qin Zhao, she was still punished. So, West wasn't that surprised. Just then, Agars walked out. When Rupert saw Agars, she was immediately shocked. What's this? Qin Zhao glanced at Rupert and then said to Agars, have her stay in the same room as Agars. What? Have me stay with her? This monster won't eat people, right? Slap. Chen Zhao slapped Rupert's head. Have some respect. Agars, keep an eye on her. If she wants to run, you can shoot her with your bow. Of course, I don't want her to die if possible, so you just have to tear her tendons with your sharp claws. Rupert rubbed her head, depressed. She didn't understand what Chen Zhao and Agars were talking about, but she believed that it wouldn't be anything good. For example, this girl is very naughty. Teach her a lesson for me. Patya brought Rupert into a room. Little girl, you'll be living here from now on. Little girl? I'm older than you. I just stopped growing for 20 years because of special reasons. You have to call me sister, okay? Oh, there are some things you need to pay attention to. For example, don't disobey the president's orders, don't get into conflict with him, and don't question his decisions. President? You mean Qin? Yes. Patya heard Rupert call Qin Zhao by his surname. In her impression, only Gaia called Chen Zhao like that. You know the president long ago? Of course. He loves me a lot. Then, what did you do to make the president put you in the same room as Agars? Agars? That leopard-headed monster? Yes, that's one of Solomon's 72 demon god pillars. Don't joke. It's just a legend. Rupert was halfway through her laugh when she saw Patya's serious gaze. That Agars is really one of Solomon's 72 demon god pillars? Yes, Patya said. The president found him a few days ago and summoned him. This monster might turn on you, Rupert said. No way. Agars is cold, but he's easy to get along with, Patya said. Plus, as long as the president is here, no threat is a threat. One day, he'll also encounter an enemy he can't deal with. No one can be strong forever. Maybe you should go to the basement and see a powerful enemy the president killed. You'll definitely be shocked. I'm a spiritualist too. I've seen Qin fight with powerful monsters. He's indeed powerful, but not enough to scare me. Just then, Agars walked in. The room was specially prepared for Agars. The door was also specially raised, but when Agars entered the room, he still had to lower his head. After entering the room, Agars glanced at Rupert and then said to Patya, "Sleep." Okay, Rupert. I'm leaving. See you tomorrow. Agar's bed was specially made. It was huge. Rupert looked at Agar's. Hey, you're Agar's, right? Agar's glanced at Rupert and then laid down on the bed. Chapter 1136. Rupert and Agar's slept on the same bed. Rupert felt warmth, something she had never felt before. When she woke up in the morning, Rupert realized that she'd slept the whole night with Agar's in her arms. Agar's had short fur all over his body, just like a wild beast. But to Rupert, Agar's was more like a furry toy. After washing up, Rupert followed Agar's to the dining room. She realized that half of the dining room was filled with evil spirits. Even the ones who served her food were evil spirits. Many evil spirits here were disaster level. Rupert was a witch herself, and she wasn't weak either. But living under the same roof with so many evil spirits was too uncomfortable for her. But everyone here was very natural. Even the old man guarding the door chatted with the evil spirits nonchalantly. Just then, a woman dressed in a Gothic style walked into the dining room. Rupert's first impression was that this woman wasn't easy to deal with. She emanated a very obvious aura of death. Usually, those with the aura of death were either people who were about to die or people who worked with the dead. Even the evil spirits made way for Helith when she arrived. Even evil spirits didn't want to come into contact with her. If they were touched by her aura of death, it would be very scary for evil spirits. They wouldn't dare to go out for a few days because they might encounter bad luck. You're weak. She's strong. Agar's glanced at Rupert and knew what she was thinking, but her English limited her way of expressing herself. Rupert looked away. Chen Zhao had entered the river map long ago. Old Turtle, do you know the Shangqing region? Or should I say the world is clear? Yes, Old Turtle answered. Old Turtle sat by the river and held a fishing rod. But there were no fish in the river. Apart from Old Turtle and Chen Zhao, there were no other creatures in the entire river map. What are the requirements for the Shangqing region? Or how to enter it? Comprehend the world and empty your mind. How? Just sit here cross-legged for a few thousand years. That long? A few thousand years in the river diagram was only a few years in the outside world. The river diagram is boundless. There is no real heaven and earth. The ground beneath our feet is just a huge rock, and the sky above our heads is a void. So, you can only accumulate your comprehension here and use enough time to facilitate it. One day, when an idea flashes in your mind, you will succeed. Is there no other faster way? Chen Zhao didn't think he had that much time. He felt like he would go crazy if he had to sit here for a few thousand years. Yes, go and feel the real world for yourself. Old Turtle said, with your current technology, you can comprehend the world more easily than the ancients. It can't be that I have to go to the heavens to comprehend the heavens and the earth to comprehend the earth, right? That's right. Isn't it simple? Is there a method that is both simple and fantastical? The last time you were at the extreme transformation, you created the mysterious ice domain and the heavenly fire domain, which are very suitable for this kind of cultivation style. No. Old Turtle shook his head. How about I throw you into the sky? Air. Never mind. Chen Zhao was afraid that if Old Turtle threw him into the sky, he might fall for a few months. How many fish have you caught? Are you stupid? Are there fish here? Old Turtle rolled his eyes. Since you know there are no fish here, why are you still fishing? Are you going to learn from Jiang Zia? Learn from him? He should learn from me. I'm old enough to be his ancestor. Old Turtle said proudly. Then what are you doing instead of fishing? I've been sitting here for more than a decade. I'm training my mind. Chen Zhao looked at Old Turtle, who still didn't move. After a while, Chen Zhao left the river diagram in boredom. In the morning, Evely came to train again. Evely's complaint was that Chen Zhao's training time was too short. Even though one morning of training might be more effective than a month of training for her, Evely still felt that time was too short. Or rather, she was reluctant to leave Mirror Lake. She envied Qin Zhao for being able to find such a good place to stay. In the afternoon, Chen Zhao went to the headquarters of the association. "Klaus, come here for a second." "President, what's up?" "How high can our helicopter fly?" "President, are you talking about the highest altitude?" "That's right, about 6,500 meters." "Fill up the helicopter and send me up." "Okay." "President, where are we going?" "Nowhere," Qin Zhao said. "Just flying up." Klaus was confused, but he still carried out Chen Zhao's mission. "President, we're already at 6,000 meters. If we climb any higher, the airflow will cause the helicopter to lose control. Do we still want to go up?" Helicopters relied on the difference in air pressure to climb, but the higher the altitude, the lower the air pressure. It was more difficult for the helicopter to climb. Usually, civilian helicopters could barely reach 4,000 meters. Military helicopters were mostly below 7,000 meters. Qin Zhao felt the airflow and temperature outside the helicopter. "Maintain this altitude," Qin Zhao said. Qin Zhao sat in the back seat and started meditating. However, he didn't feel anything. The air here was already thin, and so was the spiritual qi. Qin Zhao found it hard to cultivate. Cultivating here for 100 years might not be as good as cultivating in Mirror Lake for a year. Was it because the altitude here wasn't high enough? Or did he need to jump outside to feel the sky? "Klaus, fly the helicopter to the wound in the lake." "Okay." Klaus obeyed Qin Zhao's order and moved the helicopter above the man-made lake. "I'll go down first. You can land by yourself." With that, Qin Zhao jumped down. Head down, body vertical. Qin Zhao plummeted like a scallion. Qin Zhao closed his eyes. Instantly he found the feeling. The air kept attacking every corner of Qin Zhao's body. It was like something was constantly stimulating Qin Zhao's body and mind. However, he couldn't grasp that thing. Enlightenment, enlightenment, enlightenment. Suddenly, Qin Zhao opened his eyes. Before he could savor that feeling, the huge impact had already arrived. Splash! Qin Zhao fell into the lake, creating a huge splash. After a while, he surfaced and swam to the shore. Klaus' helicopter landed too. Klaus knew that Qin Zhao had the ability to resist the impact of falling. However, it was still hard to imagine Qin Zhao jumping down from such a high place with his own eyes. Chapter 1137. Klaus was speechless inside. Wasn't it exciting enough to jump from that height? But he was really envious. He could jump from that height without using any cushioning equipment. Guild leader, propeller planes can generally fly more than 8,000 meters. Moreover, propeller planes are cheap, even cheaper than helicopters. The most expensive one might only cost $2 to $3 million, while the cheaper ones can be bought for hundreds of thousands of dollars. The thing Klaus was most satisfied with about the supernatural organization was that it had ample funding. In the past, he had a few hundred people in the counterterrorism department. In the end, their budget was only a few $100,000. After deducting their salaries, the remaining funds could be counted on one hand. If they wanted to modify a car, they had to beg for help from the finance department. In the end, when they received a few $100,000, they had to thank Qin Zhao shamelessly. But in the supernatural organization, there were less than 30 people. Qin Zhao was also very generous with tens of millions of dollars. It wasn't just in terms of their salaries, in terms of their funding, as long as their requests were reasonable, especially if they wanted to modify their equipment or weapons. Without even thinking, Qin Zhao called them without any hesitation. Buying a plane for $1 or $2 million was almost impossible for the counterterrorism department in the past. When they needed to use a plane, they would rent it. But now they had to buy it without saying anything. Also, they had to rely on the lightning squad to buy a plane. After all, they knew planes the best. They were also the ones who used planes the most. Usually, if they went on a mission, they could fly a helicopter to show off. Qin Zhao thought about it. Are there any planes that can fly higher? Qin Zhao felt that the fall was too short. He needed more time to comprehend. But propeller planes needed airflow to ascend. They couldn't fly too high. If you want to fly at higher altitudes, you will need a jet. But for jets, the runway here could not meet the needs of takeoff and landing. President, if we modify it, I'm confident that I can make the propeller plane climb more than 10,000 meters. Not enough. Chen Zhao shook his head. Forget it. I'll think of something else. Chen Zhao didn't want to make things difficult for Klaus. The hardware wasn't good enough. Killing Klaus wouldn't solve the problem. President, how high do you want? The higher, the better. Guild leader, do you want to consider the hydrogen balloon? Chen Zhao slapped his forehead. Right. If the only requirement was the height, the hydrogen balloon was undoubtedly the best choice. At least in terms of cost-effectiveness, the hydrogen balloon was the best choice. The main principle of the hydrogen balloon was that the mass of hydrogen was much lower than that of air. However, when an ordinary hydrogen balloon flew up to a kilometer, due to the gradual decrease in pressure, the volume of hydrogen gas would increase, and eventually the outer sphere would explode. However, in the 1950s, it was already possible to rely on hydrogen balloons to ascend to an altitude of 30,000 meters. Now that more than 60 years had passed, there were no technical problems. Help me make a hydrogen balloon that can fly to an altitude of more than 30,000 meters. Ask West for how much money you need. All right, but it will take some time. How long will it take? We need to buy an ordinary hydrogen balloon and then modify it. The estimated time is about 10 days. All right, as soon as possible. Guild leader, if you go up into the sky, not only will you have to face gravity, but the low temperature, thin air, and strong ultraviolet rays will also be fatal. I know. Don't worry, I know what I'm doing. Qin Zhao thought of another problem. How should he deal with the underground? Oh, the crypt demon's relic was underground, but it didn't seem deep enough. He needed to find a chance to go to the relic and ask them if there was a deeper place. Thinking of the crypt demons, Qin Zhao thought of something else. Back then, he'd promised the crypt demons that he'd get them a wild boar monster. They seemed to call those boars Nissan. It seemed that he had to go to the desert outside of Las Vegas again. There was no time like the present. Let's go today. Las Vegas wasn't far anyway. It was a city in Nevada, but it was less than 400 kilometers away from Los Angeles. Klaus, let's go to Las Vegas. Guild leader, which casino? Do we need to bring guns? You're thinking too much, Qin Zhao said. We're going to the desert in Las Vegas. Klaus was still a little disappointed. For every man, going to Las Vegas to gamble once was their lifelong dream. Of course, for someone like Qin Zhao who had no interest in gambling, Las Vegas wasn't attractive at all. If you want to go, we can go to Las Vegas next time. Guild leader, can I drive your car? Klaus was also very interested in sports cars. Usually, he was envious of Qin Zhao's Porsche 918. However, he was afraid of Qin Zhao's authority, so he didn't dare to ask to borrow the car. This time, he finally had the chance to drive Qin Zhao's luxury car properly. Sure, as long as you don't hit my car, drive as fast as you can. Guild leader, I promise to be in Las Vegas in 2 hours, Klaus said, rubbing his hands. Sure, let's go now. Qin Zhao was impatient and had a lot of things to do recently. If he missed today, who knew how long he would have to wait for the next time? Klaus' driving was much bolder and crazier than Qin Zhao's. After buying the car, Qin Zhao had driven it a few times. This was the first time he truly displayed the power of the Porsche 918. No wonder so many people liked the explosive power of sports cars. In order to enjoy the thrill, Klaus deliberately deviated from the main road and chose a more remote one. Guild leader, do you know Highway 666? Yes. Do you want to tell me about the Highway to Hell? You've heard of this legend. Not only have I heard of it, I've even entered the real highway to hell. Didn't I go to Las Vegas on New Year's Day? I took a bus back and then entered highway to hell. Is highway to hell scary? Not really. The twisted monsters on the second level of the Tower of Trials are the same as the ones on highway to hell. Klaus was speechless. Thinking about it, Qin Zhao seemed even scarier than the so-called highway to hell. He hadn't been to the second level, but he'd heard Helly's, Norma, and Gaia talk about it. He had a rough idea of how scary it was. But Chen Zhao didn't care about the twisted monsters at all. But it made sense. Qin Zhao could pass through the sixth level and increase the strength of the monsters on each level. Chapter 1138. One didn't have to be very powerful to see things. It depended on the level of people they'd met. He'd fought a few high-level enemies with Chen Zhao before, so Klaus's vision was also very high now. Klaus's lightning team's daily training was based on powerful enemies. 2.5 hours. It was half an hour slower than expected. Nevertheless, Chen Zhao was still very satisfied with Klaus' driving skills. "Drop me off here," Chen Zhao said. "You can go walk around Las Vegas by yourself. When I'm done, come pick me up here." "President, do you need me to go with you?" "No, it's just a small matter. I just need to walk around." Chen Zhao got off the car on the road outside of Las Vegas. Las Vegas was built on a desert to begin with. Chen Zhao entered the desert and soon approached the crypt demon relic area. A massacre had happened here, but it had been cleaned up long ago. There was only a no entry sign with a sign of chemical contamination and a skull on it. Chen Zhao had just walked a few steps when he saw a desert four-wheeled motorcycle drive over, kicking up dust. On the motorcycle was a policewoman wearing a cowboy hat. The scorching sun here made her skin a bit red. The policewoman stopped the bike before Chen Zhao and took off her sunglasses. "Who are you? Why are you here?" The policewoman looked Chen Zhao up and down. She saw that he was only wearing a t-shirt, sweatpants, and sneakers. It was really strange for him to appear here like that. "Sightseeing. Is there a problem? Don't you see the sign over there?" "What sign?" Chen Zhao pretended to be blind. "There's chemical pollution here. Don't get close. Are you a tourist?" "I'm from LA, Chen Zhao said calmly. "Even if you're sightseeing, your clothes are too simple. Usually, when people came to the desert to sightsee, they couldn't wear revealing clothes. Otherwise, the strong ultraviolet rays in the desert would cause sunburn. Also, their pants couldn't be too loose, or else the poisonous snakes and scorpions in the desert might crawl into their pants." However, Chen Zhao was dressed casually. In the policewoman's eyes, he wasn't here to sightsee. He was here to die. In Las Vegas, more than 10,000 people died from poisonous snakes and scorpions in the desert every year. There would also be hundreds of people missing, all due to incomplete equipment. The policewoman felt that Chen Zhao had come here for a walk. "Let me see your driver's license." Chen Zhao handed his license to the policewoman. She called the headquarters and asked for his license number. "University professor?" The policewoman looked at him. "Since you're a university professor, don't you know anything about precautions?" Chen Zhao couldn't think of any excuse to get rid of the policewoman. "Fine," Chen Zhao said, shrugging. "I made a bet with my friend to stay in the desert for 6 hours. Hearing his explanation, the policewoman felt that he was telling the truth. Chen Zhao didn't look like a tourist at all. Moreover, tourists needed to go to the desert. Usually they would have a special team, and they would not be brought to such a forbidden zone. "Come up, I'll send you out," the policewoman said. "Miss, can I stay here for a while?" Chen Zhao asked. "You know, with what you're wearing now, you'll be burnt to death before the sun sets in less than 6 hours, and you didn't even bring any water." "Aren't there some rocks straight over there? I can hide from the sun there." "I'll leave later." The policewoman shook her head. "No, leave now or I'll arrest you. You'll make me lose $100 like this. Don't make me warn you again." "Fine, fine." Helpless, Chen Zhao sat on the policewoman's four-wheeled motorcycle and was sent to the city. Chen Zhao looked like he had nothing to live for. He found a bar and sat down to drink. It seemed that he could only wait until it was dark before going in. Chen Zhao had just ordered a glass of wine and was drinking at a table outside the bar when the policewoman came again. "You still want to go into the desert?" "Officer, I'm just drinking. That's all. That area is very dangerous. Don't you know? People died there before. Sorry, I just want to drink in peace." Chen Zhao smiled at the policewoman. "Maybe I should buy you a drink." The policewoman stared at him. "I'll keep an eye on you. If you dare to step into the desert again, I'll arrest you." "Miss Officer, did I break any laws?" "I have the right to arrest anyone I think is suspicious." Chen Zhao really found it annoying, but he only needed to go into the desert at night and get a Nissan. There was no need to talk to the policewoman now. Just then, the policewoman received a call and left in a hurry. "Weenie, a fugitive escaped into the restricted area under your jurisdiction." Weena's expression was serious as she drove her car into the restricted area. Weena knew what was inside. She also knew how dangerous it was. Especially at night, it would turn into a sharaba. Even she did not dare to linger in there. It was getting late. If she couldn't find the fugitive and bring him out before dark, she might only find his broken limbs tomorrow morning. Or maybe she wouldn't even be able to find his broken limbs. After entering the restricted area, Weena found footprints very quickly. From the clarity of the footprints, the fugitive hadn't left for long. Weena followed the footprints to find the fugitive. Finally, Weena arrived outside an abandoned camp. This place used to be a military encampment, and a tragic incident had occurred here before. The military had been attacked by something here at night. Almost everyone had died. The tents were very dilapidated. Many of them were already leaking air. Some even had bloodstains on them. Weenie took out her gun and glanced at the sky. Weenie entered the tent carefully, her gun still in her hand. Suddenly, she heard a whistling sound behind her. Weenie also noticed a shadow on the ground and was about to turn around. The gun in her hand had already been knocked to the ground by a wooden stick. Weenie was about to pick up the gun when the person who had attacked her pushed her to the ground. From the information her colleagues had given her, Weenie already knew that the fugitive was a murderer. He was very dangerous. Weenie fought back with all her might and kicked the fugitive's stomach. The fugitive took a few steps back. Then he grabbed Weenie's hair and threw her to the ground. Chapter 1139. Weenie turned around and wanted to run, but a gunshot sounded. Weenie fell to the ground. Her thigh was shot through. Weenie already regretted coming here. She regretted coming here. Weenie turned around and watched the criminal approach her step by step. This is the perfect crime scene. After I'm done, I can bury you here and no one will ever find you. Weenie panted heavily and looked at the criminal. More accurately, she looked at the thing behind the criminal. The criminal saw the shadow under his feet. What was that? The fugitive turned around abruptly and saw a huge monster standing in front of him. But the monster had a tattered cloth on it. It was a crypt demon, but the sky wasn't completely dark yet. Crypt demons were very sensitive to light, so this one had a piece of cloth on it. But now it looked more like a piece of clothing. What is that? The crypt demon bit the criminal's neck. Help! Help! Help me! The criminal cried weakly, but he couldn't do anything. Soon, the crypt demon bit off half of the criminal's neck. The crypt demon had a shocking bite force. It could easily bite through a person's body, let alone a neck. The crypt demon slowly walked up to Winnie and sniffed her body with its nose. Winnie froze. She could clearly see the criminal's blood on the crypt demon's head. Winnie carefully reached out and touched the crypt demon. Luote, the crypt demon's claw, lightly scratched Winnie's cheek before it turned away. Luote was the name Winnie gave the crypt demon. On New Year's Eve, the night of the incident, Winnie was on duty nearby when she met the crypt demon. The crypt demon was heavily injured. Winnie didn't know what she was thinking. She saved the crypt demon and hid it in her house. When the crypt demon woke up the next day, it almost killed Winnie. But after noticing the bandages on her body, the crypt demon didn't hurt her anymore. Winnie gave the crypt demon the name Luote. It was her brother's name. However, when Winnie was very young, her brother passed away. Later on, Vinnie also found out about the massacre in the desert on television. Then, Vinnie sent Roth back here. Luote sensed the setting sun and screamed at Vinnie. Ing ing! Although Winnie did not understand what Luote was saying, she could understand him. Luote wanted Winnie to leave, because darkness was coming. When that time came, his clansmen would be wandering nearby. If Winnie encountered them, she would not be able to escape death. Crypt demons were intelligent, and their intelligence was no less than that of humans. The only difference between them was the level of civilization. However, Vinnie couldn't move at all. Her thigh was injured, and Winnie was still sitting on the ground. Lot seemed a little anxious. He came forward and sniffed Vinnie's thigh. Although crypt demons couldn't see, they could sense other creatures' states through their sense of smell. Lot dragged Vinnie into the tent and used his finger to cut a wound on his face. He then smeared his blood on Vinnie's body. Luote, what are you doing? Ing ing ing. Are you trying to trick your friends with your smell? Vinnie asked. Ing ing. Luote covered Vinnie with a heavy cloth. At the same time, he dragged the escaped prisoner's body in. What happened next was more bloody. Luote tore the prisoner into pieces. Blood splattered everywhere. Luote even picked up Vinnie's gun and tossed it to her. The sky was already starting to darken. Just then, footsteps came from outside. Luote and Vinnie fell silent at the same time. Vinnie was very nervous. If she encountered other crypt demons, her chances of survival were very low. It's been so long. Why is there such a heavy smell of blood here? Chen Zhao strolled in the abandoned camp. Hearing this voice, Vinnie immediately thought of the Asian she'd met in the afternoon. That Asian man still managed to get in. He really didn't know what was good for him. He'd actually come to such a dangerous place. The desert at night was more dangerous than during the day. Especially in the Forbidden Zone, it would be even more dangerous to encounter crypt demons. Chen Zhao noticed that the tent beside him had a heavy smell of blood. He pulled open the cloth and saw that the ground was a mess. At the same time, there were two other figures in the tent. One was the policewoman he'd met in the afternoon. The other was a crypt demon. Hi. Vinnie's face darkened. Why are you here? Would you believe me if I said I'm here to play? Ing ing ing. Vinnie saw that Luote was very hostile toward Chen Zhao. Like a beast pouncing on its prey, Luote leaned forward. Luote, don't hurt him. He's not a bad person, Vinnie hurriedly said. She could ignore the escaped prisoner just now. That was because the escaped prisoner deserved to die. Thus, Vinnie didn't have any sympathy. But to her, Chen Zhao didn't deserve to die. Hey, is this your pet? Your pet is really special, Chen Zhao said, chuckling. Vinnie froze. Was this guy blind? Couldn't he see that Luote was different? Was it because it was too dark here? Couldn't he see clearly? But Luote was almost 4 meters long. He could not know, right? Or was he pretending to be calm? Just then, a gust of wind blew in the desert. The smell of blood from the tent was also blown toward the cave in the ruins. Chen Zhao left the tent because he sensed that something had come out from the ruins. There were a lot of them, too. The wind didn't just blow the escaped prisoner's blood over. It also blew Chen Zhao's scent over. A large number of crypt demons and Nissan species swarmed over. The crypt demons still remembered Chen Zhao, the instigator of all this. After all, Chen Zhao was the one who'd started an all-out conflict between the crypt demons and the military. Although the crypt demons had slaughtered almost everyone in the military camp, it didn't mean that they were unharmed. The crypt demons were also heavily injured. But Chen Zhao, the instigator, wasn't punished at all. The surrounding tents were all torn down. Vinny was also exposed. When she saw the densely packed crypt demons and wild boars, she was so scared that she lost her ability to think. Just then, Luo Te came to Vinny's side and protected her. Chapter 1140. Weenie curled up in a corner and looked at the countless monsters around her. "Hi, Your Majesty, we meet again." Chen Zhao looked at a petite figure among the crypt demons. Of course, the so-called petite was only relative to other crypt demons. For humans, a body that was more than 3 meters tall was still considered huge. The other crypt demons immediately stood in front of their queen. Weenie looked at Chen Zhao in confusion. Did this Asian know about the monsters? But was he scared out of his wits? He actually wanted to reason with these monsters. Most of the crypt demons, Weenie had seen 8 humans. Even Lot was the same. If not for their special experience, Lot would probably be like the other crypt demons. To her, these monsters couldn't communicate with humans at all. Chen Zhao shrugged helplessly. "I didn't come with enmity, so I think we can coexist peacefully. I just want 2 boar monsters." Oh, the Nissan species. Chen Zhao didn't have any enmity, but the crypt demons' hostility didn't decrease. They seemed to want to attack Chen Zhao. "Your Majesty, you know that if I want to kill you, you won't be able to escape." Chen Zhao looked at the female crypt demon. Weenie didn't understand where this Asian got his confidence from. He was actually talking to these monsters in such a tone. From her point of view, Chen Zhao was seeking his own death. Chen Zhao looked at the surrounding boar monsters. If possible, Chen Zhao would just grab a wild boar monster and leave. But these boar monsters didn't have the ability to reproduce. To put it bluntly, they were naturally castrated. The Nissan species were very similar to the crypt demons. Or rather, they were like bees. They also had a female body and a group of males. The female body was used for reproduction. If the female died, a male would appear among the males and become the female body. Among the wild boar monsters, there were other Nissan breeds, such as the male breeds that bred with their mothers, the soldier breeds that protected the tribe, and the meat breeds that were provided to the crypt demons. The ones surrounding Chen Zhao now were the most common soldiers. They couldn't be used for reproduction. Only by obtaining the mother or a male seed would it work. To be precise, there were 2 of them. As long as there were 2 males, one of them would naturally transform and become a mother. Then they would be able to reproduce into a race. Of course, the crypt demon definitely knew the exact process better than Chen Zhao. If Chen Zhao asked for the mother directly, they definitely wouldn't give it to him. However, if they wanted 2 male seeds, they would probably give it to him after considering the pros and cons. Of course, he also considered robbing them. But unless it was absolutely necessary, Chen Zhao wasn't willing to do this. After all, they were an intelligent race, not a bunch of wild beasts. Therefore, Chen Zhao preferred to negotiate with them peacefully. However, the crypt demons around him were filled with hostility. When the entrance to their ruins was discovered by humans, they had no intention of becoming enemies with humans. They would only attack when humans entered the ruins. But that time, Chen Zhao had used them to fight the humans head-on. As a result, they suffered heavy losses. Vinny's nerves were taut, and her emotions were extremely nervous. She could feel that the crypt demons were about to attack. Beep! But just then, Chen Zhao's phone rang. The crypt demons jumped in fright. The encirclement, which had been slowly approaching, retreated a few more steps. Chen Zhao picked up his phone and saw that it was Fei Lai. "Chen, you're not coming back tonight?" "Oh, something came up. I'll be back later," Chen Zhao said. "You don't have to leave me dinner. Come back soon. I miss you." "Okay, darling." Chen Zhao hung up. Just then, his phone rang again. Chen Zhao picked it up. It was Klaus' voice. "President, did you solve your problem?" "Not yet." "Do you need reinforcements?" "No need. Play in Las Vegas first. Come pick me up when I'm done." "Okay." Klaus hung up. Just then, the female crypt demon walked out. Human, you shouldn't have come back here. I haven't settled the score with you for last time. Did you forget what you did to me? Huh? You can actually talk. You couldn't talk last time. Chen Zhao was very surprised. Winnie looked at the petite crypt demon in surprise. She was also very surprised. Crypt demons could talk? Human, what do you want? The female asked. I want 2 Nissan species, Chen Zhao said. Do you know what the Nissan is used for? The female crypt demon asked. Yes. How do you know? Your kind told me, Chen Zhao said. There are other races. The female crypt demon was surprised. Yes, their numbers are greater than yours. Which race told you to ask for the Nissan species? Yes. Have their Nissan species gone extinct? If they did, they wouldn't have asked for them from you, Chen Zhao said. What's your relationship with that race? We're friends now. Winnie looked at Chen Zhao in surprise. No wonder he dared to swagger into this place. It turned out that he was more familiar with these monsters than she was. However, it seemed that he had an old grudge against them. It was hard to guarantee that these monsters wouldn't attack him. If so many monsters were to attack, the man and himself would be dead. Your Majesty, although you have the advantage in numbers, if a conflict really breaks out, you will definitely be the ones to suffer. Moreover, you will definitely die. If you want other heirs to replace you, then let's start a war. Crypt demons weren't stupid. The crypt demons weren't stupid. Their intelligence wasn't lower than that of humans. Therefore, Chen Zhao believed that the female crypt demon knew how to avoid danger. If he could threaten her before, he could do it again. Moreover, he'd let her go on his own. She should know how to choose. I can't give you the Nissan species. Why? The Nissan species we use for reproduction have been blocked by the Arachne. It's been a long time since we've replenished new Nissan species. Every time a new species is born, they'll be eaten by the Arachne after growing to a certain stage. There's nothing we can do. What's spider demons? Chapter 1141. Who is she? The female crypt demon looked at Weenie. Weenie immediately grew nervous. She looked at Chen Zhao blankly. We came together, Chen Zhao said. She's injured. Can you help me take care of her? Weenie finally heaved a sigh of relief. She was really afraid that Chen Zhao would kill her directly. If I can help you get rid of the spider demons, can you give me 2 Nissan breeds? Sure. Now. Of course, the sooner the better, the female crypt demon said. Then take me there. Also, tell me what's going on with the spider demons. The spider demons have existed together with our history. They always wander around our nests and are especially fond of the Nissan breeds we rear, the female crypt demon said. The female crypt demon said, every once in a while our Nissan breeds would be attacked by Arachne. Many times, the Nissan breeds almost went extinct because of this. Can't you protect the breeding Nissan breeds? We've protected them, but the Nissan species are free-range. They will form their own groups, and we can't always send our own people to follow them. The Nissan species will often run to remote places, and those places are often very dangerous. The female crypt demon paused. Some places lead to the abyss. Their scent will be smelled by the spider demons in the abyss, and they'll be hunted by them. Since you can keep the Nissan breeds from going extinct for so long, you must also frequently get rid of the spider demons, right? Can't you get rid of them this time? There's simply too many Arachne this time. If we were to fight them directly, I might lose almost all of my offspring. Moreover, there are big Arachne crawling out of the abyss this time. I've already sent some of my offspring to probe them, but none of them returned. Weena sat on Lot's back. She also heard the conversation between Chen Zhao and the female crypt demon. To her, the spider demons couldn't even get rid of the crypt demons. It was even more impossible for Chen Zhao to do it alone. However, Chen Zhao didn't seem to realize this problem. After entering the entrance of the ruins, there was no light at all. Everything was in darkness. There wasn't even a signal. This made Weenie very anxious. In an unsafe environment, it was easy for people to lose control of their emotions. Moreover, the scorching heat underground would also cause one's thoughts to be muddled. What are the arachne like? Their bodies are very large. Their larvae are about the same size as the largest among us, while adult arachne can reach 3 times our size. The arachne that appeared near our lair this time is led by a large arachne. That arachne is at least 10 times our length when its limbs are spread out. Qin Zhao gasped. So big. What kind of monster was this? Winnie listened to them from behind. It was as if she was listening to a fairy tale. According to the crypt demon's average length of 5 meters, 10 times their body length would be equivalent to 45 meters long. It was unimaginable what kind of monster it would be. After walking for 30 minutes, a light appeared in front of them. The light surprised Chen Zhao. Crypt demons were creatures that hated light, but there was light in their nests. But soon he realized that it was a river of lava. This was a huge karst cave, and it was extremely large. Qin Zhao grinned. Even if he fell into the lava river, he would probably kneel down. Because Chen Zhao had the golden key, he could adapt to an environment that wasn't suitable for humans in a short time. But this didn't mean that he could instantly adapt to the temperature in the lava. The lava would kill Qin Zhao instantly. He wouldn't even have a chance to struggle. These crypt demons didn't hate light. What they hated was sunlight. But this was understandable. After all, Chen Zhao remembered that the crypt demons used to be vampires. They also inherited the vampire's aversion to sunlight. Soon, Chen Zhao realized that he was wrong. This wasn't the lair of the crypt demons. It was the arachne's lair. Chen Zhao discovered some huge creatures that looked like spider crabs in the lava. These should be the so-called arachne. The arachne's body was completely red. Its 8 long and thin limbs stood in the lava. It turned out that their bodies weren't as long as Chen Zhao thought. Instead, their limbs were more than 10 meters long. Their bodies were actually about the same size as the crypt demons. Not only could they survive in the lava, but they could also climb on the walls. However, they had a pair of huge pincers in front of them. They were very thick. When they discovered the approaching crypt demons, the 2 arachne immediately attacked them. The crypt demons also charged up and started fighting them. The male crypt demons had hard outer bones to protect them, but the arachne's huge pincers could still easily crush their bones. The arachne's limbs were also very sharp. They could also easily pierce through the male crypt demon shells. Soon, a few crypt demons were killed, but the crypt demons still had the advantage in numbers. So, the 2 arachne were still killed by the crypt demon's attacks. Chen Zhao went to the arachne's corpse and checked it. We can only send you up to here. If you go deeper, you'll easily attract big arachne. It's up to you now. Winnie looked at Chen Zhao. She was a bit afraid. These crypt demons were going to leave both her and Chen Zhao here. She had some understanding of the crypt demons and knew that they could communicate. But these arachne behaved like wild beasts. She couldn't communicate at all. If she was left here, she would definitely die a horrible death. Qin Zhao walked into the cave. Lute jumped in with Winnie. How are you going to deal with the arachne? Winnie asked. Kill them, of course. Qin Zhao said matter-of-factly. But you're just one person. Most of the time, I deal with problems alone. This is different from the problems you've faced in the past. There's no difference. Qin Zhao turned to look at the entrance of the cave. The female crypt demon and her offspring hadn't left yet. Why aren't the arachne here yet? Qin Zhao called out. You have to make noise to attract the arachne out of the lava. Their vision is bad, but their hearing is very good. Fine. Chen Zhao took out a grenade from somewhere and threw it into the lava in the distance. Boom! The lava splashed red with red water. Qin Zhao threw another one. The effect was obvious. A arachne immediately jumped out of the lava. The arachne didn't attack, Qin Zhao immediately. Instead, it used its huge pincers to knock on the shell on its back. What is it doing? Chapter 1142. Very soon, arachne began to emerge from the surrounding lava rivers. They came in all sizes. Winnie was in complete despair. Clenching his fists, Qin Zhao faced dozens of spider demons. Suddenly, an arachne pounced at Qin Zhao. Its huge claws swiped at Qin Zhao. In Winnie's eyes, the huge spider demon's claws were about to hit Qin Zhao. It could slap Qin Zhao to death. But the moment the claws grabbed Qin Zhao, he suddenly opened his arms. The claws were pushed away. The spider demon's claws couldn't close again. Crack! Qin Zhao tore the pincer off. Winnie's eyes widened as she watched the scene in shock. Disbelief was written all over her face. The spider demon's claws sprayed white liquid. The white liquid sprayed on Qin Zhao's body, but he felt very strange. The liquid seemed to be being absorbed by his body. The texture was very strange. Qin Zhao felt refreshed. So good. He was almost infatuated with the feeling. Qin Zhao tried his best to break the spider demon's claws. More liquid sprayed on his body. Qin Zhao smeared some white liquid on his hand and took a sip. The white liquid was as sweet as honey. Just then, the spider demon raised its sharp limbs and stabbed at Qin Zhao. Qin Zhao kicked and broke the limbs. At the same time, he shot the broken limbs up through the spider demon's lower abdomen. The spider demon was quickly killed. Winnie's eyes were filled with shock. One had to know that even the crypt demons would need several of them to kill one of them. But Qin Zhao had easily killed one. After one of their companions was killed, the other spider demons became very excited. Qin Zhao bathed in the white liquid. The essence of the white liquid seeped into his skin, which also excited him. Another spider demon charged over. Qin Zhao was in a state of extreme excitement right now. He charged at the spider demon without any regard for his own safety. Winnie had thought that it was suicide. After all, the difference in size was too big. Plus, the spider demon had a hard shell to protect itself. But Qin Zhao shattered the spider demon's front claws and stabbed a piece into the spider demon's main body. Winnie finally understood why Qin Zhao had the courage to come here alone. Why could he make a deal with the crypt demons? This guy was simply a monster. Qin Zhao killed the two spider demons and absorbed the white liquid in their bodies. He even dug out their flesh and squeezed the liquid out. Suddenly, a boulder weighing more than 10 tons was hurled over from afar. "Be careful!" Vinny shouted in alarm. The 10-ton boulder smashed toward Qin Zhao. Qin Zhao immediately controlled the dark serum. The dark serum under his feet suddenly expanded, but it was unavoidably contaminated by the surrounding lava. However, the strange thing was that the dark origin liquid did not evaporate. The lava was not extinguished by the dark original fluid. The dark serum and magma fused together. Under Qin Zhao's control, it turned into a red and black blade. He easily cut the boulder into two halves. Weena's face was filled with disbelief. What was going on? Qin Zhao was also surprised. He didn't know that the dark serum could fuse with lava. At this time, a giant arachne crawled out from the depths of the lava river and onto the cavern wall. The arachne's main body was more than 10 meters long. Each of its limbs was more than 20 meters long. Its two claws were like hammers striking the ground. This should be the big arachne. It was the one who'd thrown the boulder. It was obvious how strong it was. It was really too big. Qin Zhao looked at the big arachne. He could feel his blood boiling. There seemed to be something about this arachne that was attracting him. Qin Zhao charged at the big arachne without a care. The arachne, along the way, immediately stopped Qin Zhao. But right now, Qin Zhao seemed to be possessed. It was an instinctive impulse. He didn't even care about the arachne that came to stop him. The liquid formed by the dark serum and magma turned into countless strange-shaped blades. This was a real mount of knives and a sea of fire. Instantly, dozens of arachne were cut open. At the same time, the dark serum seeped into their shells and extracted the dark serum from their bodies. Chun Zhao charged to the big arachne and tore its claws apart. Weenie thought that this would be a thrilling battle, but the result was far beyond her expectations. It was a one-sided slaughter. When the big arachne appeared, it indeed displayed terrifying power. But Chun Zhao was even more terrifying. He tore open the arachne's shell. Chun Zhao saw a golden substance in the arachne's shell. It looked like magma. It was like crab paste and gave off an alluring fragrance. The big arachne wasn't completely dead yet. It tried to attack Chun Zhao with its claws, but Chun Zhao just laid it on the golden substance and stuffed it into his mouth. Compared to it, Chun Zhao was more like a man-eating monster. The golden substance was the same as the white liquid, but it was pure. Chun Zhao felt the power of the earth. This power filled every corner of Chun Zhao's body. It was as if every cell was absorbing the golden substance excitedly. Chun Zhao burped, but he was still stuffing the golden substance into his mouth. He didn't want to waste a single bit. He wanted to take all of the big arachne's power. It was the essence from the abyss. Whether it was the crypt demon at the entrance or Weenie watching at the scene, they were all frightened by the scene. Compared to the arachne, Chun Zhao was clearly scarier. Around him, there was a substance that was intertwined with darkness and flames. It was like a liquid constantly churning. All the arachne were killed by the liquid. This was the power of the earth. Chun Zhao felt it, but it wasn't enough. Not enough. Far from enough. This was the essence of the earth. Chun Zhao suddenly understood what Old Turtle had said before. Go to the depths of the earth and comprehend it. This was the essence of the earth. But the big arachne's earth essence wasn't enough for Chun Zhao. The glutton devoured all of the big arachne's flesh. Only an empty shell was left. Chun Zhao glanced at the upstream of the magma river. It was surging out from the depths of the cave. It was also where the big arachne had come out. Chun Zhao really wanted to charge in, but he wasn't confident that he could leave alive. Even if he absorbed the earth essence from the big arachne, it was only enough to satisfy his appetite. But Chun Zhao only had a preliminary understanding of the emptiness of the earth. In the end, Chun Zhao gave up on the idea of entering the magma river. Right now, he couldn't resist the heat of the magma. Perhaps he should continue training. With the Golden Key's ability to adapt and evolve, Chun Zhao believed that as long as he continued training, he could get used to the magma's temperature in no time. Chapter 1143. Chun Zhao returned to the entrance of the cave. All the crypt demons were even more wary of Chun Zhao. They couldn't see anything, but they knew what had just happened. Chun Zhao had slaughtered all the invading spider demons, including the big spider demon that he couldn't handle. When can I get what I want? Chun Zhao asked. Wait, the female crypt demon said. We need to enter the nest of the Nissan species. The male crypt demons started to enter the cave. There was a tunnel in the other corner of the cave. A while later, the crypt demons brought out some baby Nissan species. 2 of the Nissan pups were sent to Chun Zhao. This is our promise. You need the Nissan species. Chun Zhao picked up the 2 baby Nissan species. Most animals were quite cute when they were young. The Nissan species were the same. They were pink and tender, looking like domestic pigs. Oh, if there are more spider demons next time, I'll be happy to help you clean them up, Chun Zhao said. Even though Chun Zhao hadn't completely understood the earth, absorbing the earth essence from the big spider demon still improved him greatly. It was a real improvement. It was as if all the cells in his body were alive. The feeling was similar to falling from a high place, but it wasn't exactly the same. They were 2 completely opposite feelings, but they could both make his cells alive. Falling from a high place made his body feel light, as if he was going to ride the wind to the west. But the earth essence made Chun Zhao feel heavy, as if he was a huge rock. Winnie followed Qin Zhao out of the crypt demon's nest. The crypt demon sent the two to the door. Qin Zhao sent Winnie to where she'd parked her four-wheeled motorcycle. At the same time, he drove 12 kilometers away. "Okay, Miss Police, I'll send you out of this restricted area and then call for help. Also, for the sake of your wrath, you better watch your mouth." Then Qin Zhao turned and left. Klaus parked the car where Qin Zhao had gotten off. He saw Qin Zhao return with the two piglets. Klaus was a bit confused. Qin Zhao had gone out for an entire afternoon and only brought back 2 piglets? Of course, Klaus didn't understand, but he didn't think too much about it. When he reached the headquarters, it was already midnight. However, he told Klaus to fly him to the crypt demon ruins. "Klaus, are you coming in with me or staying here?" Back in Las Vegas, Qin Zhao wasn't familiar with the crypt demon's lair, and there was quite a grudge between them. Therefore, Qin Zhao didn't want Klaus to take the risk. However, Qin Zhao wasn't worried about the crypt demons here. At least there wouldn't be any conflicts. Klaus had been here before, so there wouldn't be any danger. "Guild leader, I can't stand the heat. I'll stay here." "All right." Qin Zhao could understand that not everyone could adapt to such a hot environment. Qin Zhao carried the piglet into the nest. Soon, he encountered the patrolling crypt demons. Qin Zhao's scent was rather familiar to the crypt demons. The crypt demon took the initiative to lead the way. Qin Zhao followed the crypt demon and soon arrived at the underground pyramid. The old crypt demon appeared at the entrance of the pyramid. He smelled the little piglet in Qin Zhao's arms and immediately trotted over. "Human, is that a Nissan in your arms?" "Yes, 2 young ones. Is that okay?" Yes, of course." "That's great." The old crypt demon was very happy. Qin Zhao put the piglet down. "Oh, I heard that the Nissan species attract arachne, right? Human, you know about arachne." "I've encountered arachne before," Qin Zhao said. "That's right," the old crypt demon answered. "We also raised Nissan species in the past, and arachne had a huge impact on their extinction." "How about this?" Qin Zhao said. "I'll give you a way to contact me. If you encounter arachne, you can tell me. I can help you for free." "Human, you want arachne, right?" "Yes." Qin Zhao didn't deny it. "Our race has a way to find arachne." "Oh, a way to find arachne?" Qin Zhao's eyes brightened. "Arachne's dung is the food of the earth locust, which is the food of the Nissan species, and arachne like to eat the Nissan species," the old crypt demon said. "For a long time in the past, our race didn't have any Nissan species, so we could only rely on the earth locust to survive. That's why we would search for traces of arachne. Places where arachne appear will usually leave their dung, so our race is very sensitive to arachne scent. Especially in our race, there are a few races that can detect extremely thin traces of arachne in the air through their dung. If arachne enters our nest, we'll discover it immediately. We also know the locations of some shallow arachne nests. Over the past thousands of years, we've found many. How deep does this place lead to?" Qin Zhao asked. "Very deep. Using your human measurement unit, we've already found a depth of 10,000 meters. Qin Zhao thought about it and felt that it was reasonable. The crypt demon race wasn't big, but it wasn't small either. Without enough space to move around and a large enough ecological chain, they wouldn't be able to sustain the survival and reproduction of the race. Therefore, there must be an even larger underground transportation network here. However, even our race is unable to descend any deeper into the region. If I want to go down, will there be any problems? Since you want to chase arachne, you definitely won't be afraid of them. But the deeper you go, the higher the temperature will be. There will also be other dangerous creatures. Arachne aren't the only dangerous creatures deep underground. There are also complicated underground caves. Your human senses are very weak and can't sense the direction." Qin Zhao thought about it. This was indeed a troublesome thing. The deeper he went, the higher the temperature. But the temperature was actually the least of Chen Zhao's worries. Russia had once excavated a cave that was more than 12 kilometers deep. The temperature at the bottom of the cave reached 180 degrees. This temperature might be fatal to most creatures, but Chen Zhao could endure it. But it was precisely the direction that became the biggest problem. Without Peugeot, it was easy for human senses to get lost. This was a basic human sense and couldn't be changed. Even well-trained soldiers couldn't change it, unless they had a super brain that could remember all the characteristics of the path. But I can help you draw a map, the old crypt demon said. You can draw. Chapter 1144. Chen Zhao suspected that if the old crypt demon could study further, he could definitely get a degree. Oh, you humans seem to like spider meat, the old crypt demon said. The old crypt demon said, although we don't like arachne meat and find it disgusting, you humans like it very much. How do you know? Did you forget that humans used to live here? Chen Zhao just remembered that some human scholars had been locked up here. The old crypt demon's knowledge was also taught by those human scholars. If you want, I'll get some for you. You have crypt demon meat here. I just killed 2 spider demons 2 days ago, the old crypt demon said. Their race was much stronger than the crypt demons in Las Vegas. At least, they definitely outnumbered the crypt demons in Las Vegas. Give it all to me. I'll try. A while later, the crypt demon took out the dismembered spider meat. Chen Zhao also chatted with the old crypt demon about many things. They had a common understanding that working together was more beneficial than being enemies. They didn't have any conflicts of interest. The supernatural organization could give them some help. When necessary, they could also become the organization's combat power. When Chen Zhao returned home, it was already past 2 in the morning. Chen Zhao took the spider meat and put it in the space crevice. Recently, Blackie had been busy building his new home on the beach. Chen Zhao was used to living with Blackie. He also hoped that Blackie would move in with him. To live with Chen Zhao, Blackie also knew some human secrets. When both Chen Zhao and Fei Lai were in the bedroom, he wouldn't barge in recklessly. Plus, Chen Zhao and Blackie were used to doing research together. It didn't matter if it was magical or medical. Chen Zhao entered the space crevice. Blackie was instructing the inferior demons to load some materials. After the materials were packed, Chen Zhao transported them to the beach. Chen Zhao, why are you here today? I killed some underground creatures today. I heard they're delicious, so I'm studying them to make sure they don't have any negative side effects. Oh, underground creatures? What kind? Let's talk in the lab first. Chen Zhao took out a spider's limb. This creature is like an enlarged spider crab, but they have a pair of huge pincers that can reach up to 50 meters long. These creatures also have a milky white liquid that can slightly increase my power. The white liquid should be their blood, but the effect isn't obvious with the blood of a dozen or so spider demons. Chen Zhao took out a spider demon's limb and said, "This creature is like an enlarged spider crab." As he spoke, he extracted a small piece of flesh from the arachne's limb and placed it in a test tube, mixing it with the liquid. Chen Zhao had purchased a large number of medical machines in the lab for his and Blackie's research. In the space crevice, Blackie could use any equipment. After analyzing the components, Blackie handed a report to Chen Zhao. The flesh of this arachne is extremely nutritious and very beneficial to you humans. Blackie said, "There's also a substance similar to crab amino acid, but it's different. This amino acid is very active. I soaked my bones in it and found that this amino acid can absorb other substances in the liquid and repair the bones." Oh, Chen Zhao was surprised. Amino acid was a chemical, but many plants and animals were rich in amino acids. The first amino acid he'd successfully extracted was from winter bamboo shoots. However, because amino acids were extracted from different plants and animals, there would be some differences in function. If some edible amino acids were added to dishes, they would become extremely delicious. Of course, synthetic amino acids were not suitable for consumption. Natural amino acids were the ultimate taste that humans pursued. For example, the reason why some seafood would taste so delicious after cooking was because it contained rich natural amino acids. After humans ate amino acids, they would not be absorbed directly. Instead, they would be broken down into small molecules by digestive enzymes in the stomach. Then, they would enter other organs through the bloodstream and be recombined into proteins before being absorbed by the human body. Why did people with internal functional injuries need to eat seafood for a long time? It was because many kinds of seafood were rich in amino acids. Amino acids could repair the liver and other parts. Moreover, this repair was selective. The low molecules after amino acids were broken down would remain in the bloodstream. Whatever protein an organ needed, it would automatically absorb the low molecules in the bloodstream and recombine in the organ. Therefore, some seafood was the first choice to nourish the body. However, pregnant women were not recommended to eat it because their body functions were not stable due to pregnancy reactions. If they consumed too much amino acids, it would worsen pregnancy reactions. Therefore, they could only eat little or no seafood. Some pharmaceutical companies made shark bone powder. It was quite effective for bone injuries. Chen Zhao and Blackie spent the entire night in the lab, especially analyzing and studying the amino acids of this crab. Chen Zhao found that the amino acids were very effective for bone repair. With sufficient nutrients, the effect was more than 10 times better than the body's natural recovery. Moreover, after absorbing the amino acids, the bones would become tougher. It was almost an instant effect for patients with osteoporosis. Good stuff, Chen Zhao exclaimed. Chen Zhao thought of Risvar's injury. It was a good chance for him to test it. Of course, Chen Zhao was not doing human experiments for no reason. He had to make sure there would be no side effects first. Then he could experiment. Chen Zhao and Blackie thought for a long time and named the substance bone amino acids. The next day, when Fei Lai woke up, she realized that Chen Zhao was not in bed. But before she could wash up, she smelled a strong seafood smell in the air. Fei Lai frowned. She thought that an inferior demon had made some seafood. She grumbled inwardly. She couldn't eat seafood because she was pregnant. Why would an inferior demon make seafood? But when she went to the kitchen, she realized that Chen Zhao was making seafood soup. Chen, how come you're making breakfast? Chen Zhao handed a bowl of seafood soup to Fei Lai. Here, drink it. What seafood is this? It's not seafood, but it tastes like crab. Fei Lai tasted it. The freshness spread in her mouth. Phew, so delicious. Chin, what's this made? Chapter 1145. Darling, I want more. Give me more. Sorry, darling, I can't. Chen Zhao covered the pot. You can't drink too much. Chen Zhao pushed Fei Lai out of the kitchen. She came out unwillingly. On the other hand, after Jerlin woke up, Chen Zhao filled a big bowl for her. Just then, Evely came too. Evely came especially early these days, because Chen Zhao was very busy every day. He was almost free in the mornings. So Evely came early. Every time she thought about how Chen Zhao had taken 10 million from her, she felt depressed. She was probably the most miserable world champion in the world. Forget it. Thinking about the test last night, Evely lost her courage again. It smells so good. Evely entered the house and smelled the tempting aroma. Evely, you're here. Come and try my seafood soup. Delicious. What crab is this? Sea crab. Evely rolled her eyes. You said it's seafood soup. Of course, I know it's sea crab, but what kind? I'll get the chef to prepare some too. I can't buy it, Chen Zhao said. It wasn't the first time Evely had eaten ingredients that she couldn't buy from Chen Zhao. She'd been eating lunch at Chen Zhao's house every day, so she'd already eaten many ingredients that couldn't be bought from the market. Of course, She still coaxed and pestered Qin Zhao to get some ingredients. In the past, Evely wouldn't have imagined that she'd come into contact with such fresh ingredients. She didn't know how to differentiate food from food. More? Give me some. This kind of crab is not suitable for you to eat. This kind of crab will increase the weight and toughness of your bones. If you have some bone problems, you can eat more, but it will also increase the weight of your bones and slow down your swimming speed. Of course, the effect was actually very small. It might only be 0.1 seconds. However, for any athlete in a racing event, 0.01 seconds was a crucial time. For your food, I should consider retiring early. Of course, this was just a joke. All athletes were pursuing a longer career. Most of those who retired early did, so for various reasons. Very few athletes say, "I've earned enough money, so I don't want to compete anymore." There were also some athletes who had made too much money, which caused them to lose their conscience. They began to squander money and neglect training. The final result was a serious decline in their competitive condition, and they had to choose to retire. Evely, on the other hand, was very competitive. She did not want to end her career prematurely. Moreover, as long as she was still in the sports world, she had the highest moment of glory. Just like every actor hoped to become a superstar. Which superstar is willing to stay away from the camera? Who didn't want to be the center of attention forever? In the afternoon, Qin Zhao went straight to Risvar's house. Del was there too. When he saw Qin Zhao walk in with the box, he snatched it away immediately. "Del, this isn't for you." Del knew very well that every time Qin Zhao brought food, it was always addictive, whether it was wine, ingredients, or fruits. Del was sure that Qin Zhao would always provide the best. Del did not care so much. The moment he opened the box, the rich aroma of crab meat wafted over. "Del, put it down." Qin gave it to me. Ah, my chest is starting to hurt again. Seeing that Del had snatched his thing, Risvar was furious. You're right. He also knew that Qin Zhao's gift was definitely good. "Qin, where's mine?" "It's in my trunk," Qin Zhao said. "Take it when you go back. It's very good for Johnny's injuries. Ronnie and Vera can eat it too. It's good for their development." Yummy. Del grabbed a piece of crab meat and stuffed it into his mouth. Qin Zhao sat down before Risvar. "Johnny, if Del eats your portion, there won't be any left. This crab meat can cut the time you spend in the wheelchair by half." Risvar nodded. "You're right. Del, you heard me. If you don't give it back, I'll tear your house down." Del's and Risvar's manors were less than 100 meters apart, so they often visited each other. "Tear it down. I want to live in a hotel now." "Oh, I heard from Del that you suggested the renovation of the hotel. Is that right?" Risvar asked. "Yes," Qin Zhao answered. If it was someone else's suggestion, Risvar might not accept it. On the other hand, Risvar trusted Qin Zhao's suggestion. "See? I told you it was Chen's suggestion." "Okay, let's do it." Actually, in China, many architects combined feng shui. This was because some elements of feng shui matched the characteristics of buildings. Feng shui could also be explained in a scientific way. "I'm leaving now. Del, come with me to get the crab meat." "Oh, Del, I'll be right back." Del followed Qin Zhao. After a few dozen meters, he asked impatiently, "Qin, did Master agree to take me as a disciple?" Qin Zhao glanced at Del. "This is her address. Go find her yourself." "I've already told her, but she said she needs to check your talent first. If you have the talent, she's willing to take you in as a disciple. If you don't, then don't mention it again. Also, before you have a master, don't call her master. You can't just call her master like that." "Okay, I'll go now." "You just told Johnny that you'll be right back. Now you're leaving him aside? Then when do I go?" "Decide." "I'm leaving." "Wait, where's my crab meat?" "Oh, I forgot." Qin Zhao took out a box of unprocessed crab meat from the trunk. "Why is it so little? It's more nutritious than the taste." Share it with Faith when you go back. Don't finish it all by yourself. I'm asking you why Risvar has so much more than me. He's injured. You're not. That's not fair. Okay, I'm really leaving this time. Ignoring Dell's complaints, Chen Zhao got into the car and drove away. Then he took out his phone and called Li Qing. Auntie Li, I already told Dell. He should go find you in a few days. Dell isn't a bad person. If he has the opportunity, Auntie Li, why don't you consider it? Chen Zhao's main concern was that Li Qing was all alone. Her son and daughter-in-law had both died in a car accident. She had to consider someone to take care of her when she died. In China, a disciple was like a son. Chapter 1146. The next day, Dell went to the address Chen Zhao had given him, but he didn't go alone. He brought Fisher with him. Fisher, do you remember what I said? Remember, when you see a grandma with black hair and eyes like Uncle Chin, you have to call her grandmaster in Chinese. Soon, the car stopped in front of the motel. Dell carried Fisher out of the car and went to the counter. Checking in? How many rooms? Ethan asked, looking up at Dell. No, I'm not checking in, Dell said. I'm looking for Miss Li Qing. Can you call her out for me? Ethan couldn't help but raise his head again and study Dell carefully. He thought to himself, could Li Qing have offended this man? Who are you? Why are you looking for Li? Something. What? Dell was unhappy to see Ethan asking so many questions. Why should I tell you? Li is my employee. She won't be soon, Dell said proudly. Dell's answer made Ethan even more certain that Dell was here for trouble. Li didn't come to work today. Come tomorrow. Give me her address. I'll go find her. How do I know where she lives? Actually, Li Qing lived in the motel. Because of Chen Zhao, Ethan took special care of Li Qing. But on the other hand, it was also because of Li Qing's personality. She worked hard in the hotel, and she saved Ethan's life. Thus, Ethan was also very concerned about Li Qing. He didn't care who the man before him was. Even if the police came, he would still protect her. Dad, this grandpa is lying, Fisher said. Dell looked at Ethan. He was unhappy, but he still said patiently, Listen, old man. If you give me her address, the 1,000 is yours. Ethan was even more unhappy. He didn't even look at the 1,000. Do I look like someone who needs $1,000? What do you want? I said that Li didn't come today and she won't come tomorrow. Also, you're not welcome here. Do you know who I am? I just need to say the word and I can buy this hotel. Why don't you buy it for me to see? This is my territory, get out of here. At this moment, Li Qing came downstairs. Ethan, what happened? Li Qing walked to the counter and saw Dell. Why are you here? Dell put Faith on the ground. Greetings, master. Grand disciple greets grandmaster. Faith Shui had practiced these words for an entire day. Li Qing was dumbfounded. So was Ethan. What was this? Ethan scratched his head. He had thought that Dell was looking for trouble. But if this was considered looking for trouble, this method of looking for trouble was too unique. Or were they Li Qing's juniors? However, did the Chinese have such a strange custom of meeting their elders? Moreover, these two people, one big and one small, were definitely white. Or were they of mixed blood? Faith was a mischievous child. She raised her head and looked at Li Qing with teary eyes. Li Qing's heart trembled when he met Faith Shui's eyes. She's your daughter? Yes, master. Get up first. I haven't agreed to take you as my disciple. Master, if you don't agree, I won't get up, Dell said resolutely. Yes, don't get up, Faith repeated. Your daughter was born with wisdom eyes. She's good for cultivation. As for you, Li Qing looked at Dell. It's not that you can't cultivate, but your talent is mediocre. If you want to continue on this path, you'll probably be mediocre for the rest of your life. Dell immediately said, Master, Faith's eyes were born with malformed eyes. Qin cured her eyes. Oh, is it Mr. Qin? Li Qing looked at Faith. Her love for talent had risen. Get up first. Master, will you take me as your disciple? Get up first. Dell hesitated for a long time, still waiting for Li Qing's words. Just then, Faith stood up and pulled Dell up. Dad, Grandmaster definitely wants to take me in. There must be some test. Dell looked at Li Qing, who nodded. This little girl was young, but her mind was bright and she was very clever. She was indeed a rare talent. If she could inherit Qingyi's sect, she might be able to make it flourish. Mr. Ethan, I'll take them to the back for a while. I'll ask for an hour's leave. Master, I have a hotel. You can go there. You don't have to do anything. Dell didn't like Ethan. Li Qing glanced at Dell. Don't mention this again. I won't leave the hotel. Dell shut up, feeling like he was asking for trouble. Ethan looked at Dell, gloating. Then he said to Li Qing, Go. Li Qing took Dell and Faith to the backyard. Ethan picked up the phone. Chin, a father and daughter, came to the hotel to find Li. They mentioned you. Who are they? You know that Auntie Qing has some ghost-catching and demon-exorcising abilities. That night, I asked her to go to his hotel to exorcise ghosts. Then he felt that she was very capable and wanted to learn from her. Oh, where are they now? Did she agree? I don't know. Auntie Qing took them to the backyard. Ethan hesitated, wondering if he should sneak over. Li Qing brought Dell and Faith to the backyard. You're Dell, right? Yes, Master. I'm Li Qing, the current successor of Qingyi's sect in China's Taimu Mountain. There are 3 rules in our sect. Don't use our spells to do evil, don't rape, and don't cheat. You might be able to do it. Master, I can do it. Dell answered Li Qing's question without even thinking. What kind of question was that? Even without the rules, he wouldn't do such things. Also, your talent is mediocre. I'll teach you a spell. If you can learn it in 7 days, you'll become an official disciple of Qingyi's sect. Otherwise, our fate ends here. Dell looked troubled. Master, is it very difficult? It's the most basic spell, Yin Yang Ai, Li Qing said. This spell isn't unique to our sect. Basically, all warlocks know this spell. If you can't even learn Yin Yang Ai, you're really not suitable for it. Fine. Please teach me, Master. This is the incantation. Take it and learn it yourself. Looking at the dense Chinese words, Dell got a headache. His current level of Mandarin was limited to his spoken language. He knew nothing about writing. Master, it's all Chinese. Chapter 1147. Dell looked at the incantation with a bitter expression. How was he supposed to practice this? He couldn't even understand it. Dad, you're so stupid. Doesn't Uncle Chin know? Ask him. Dell slapped his forehead. That's right. Chin Zhao knew, and he could teach him too. Dell immediately drove to Mirror Lake. When he reached Mirror Lake, Faith had already forgotten about her mission. She charged into the mansion. Jerlin, I'm here. Ah. Seeing that there was no one in the living room, Faith ran to the front yard. Seeing Jerlin playing in the lake, she jumped in without even taking off her clothes. Walter, who'd been dozing off on the shore, immediately jumped in. Walter was like a protective dog. It didn't matter if the kids in the water needed help or not. As long as the parents weren't around, he would follow. This was what he'd been taught since he was young. Dell walked in and saw Chun Zhao and Fei Lai lying in the sun. Chin, Fei Lai, Dell greeted. How was it? Did it go well? Chun Zhao asked. Chin, come here for a second. Just say it. Dell glanced at Fei Lai. Does Fei Lai know? She knows more than you do. Okay. Dell took out the incantation. This is the incantation my master gave me. Oh, I succeeded. Not really. Master told me to learn this in a week, or he won't take me in. Chun Zhao glanced at the incantation. It was a simple incantation. Okay, it was simple for Chun Zhao. Not to mention Chun Zhao's current level. Just the content on it was easy to understand. Pressing the Lingshu acupuncture point with his index finger, he filled his head with qi. Then he focused on his eyes, This mnemonic formula was introduced and explained in the most common vernacular. If it was a little more profound, it would be written in classical Chinese or even in the more obscure Taoist narrative form. Even Qin Zhao found it hard to read, let alone Dell. Qin, help me translate the content and then teach me. Chen Zhao translated the incantation into English and recited it. That's simple. Yes, but whether you can learn it or not depends on your ability. Then how do I know if I've mastered it? Let's go find a graveyard. If you can master this yin-yang eye, you will definitely be able to see anything unclean. Dell followed Qin Zhao's translation and turned to Qin Zhao. Qin, I feel like I don't need to practice at all. It's very simple. Very good. Since you're so confident, go to the graveyard tonight and try your yin-yang eye. Qin, come with me tonight. I don't dare to go alone. If a spirit controller doesn't even dare to go to a graveyard, how can he be a spirit controller? I'm not a proper spiritualist yet. Qin, come with me. I'm not going. Qin Zhao rejected Dell's request without hesitation. Wasn't it better to rub Fei Lai to sleep? Why would he follow Dale to the cemetery? Qin, come with me. I really don't dare to go alone. Qin, just go with Dell. Fei Lai felt that Dell was quite pitiful. Qin Zhao's face was gloomy. He should have just found an evil spirit. Why did she have to accompany Dell to the cemetery? Qin Zhao was confused. Dell didn't leave at all. He dragged Qin Zhao so that he couldn't leave even if he wanted to. After dinner, Qin Zhao was dragged into the car. Faith stayed at home. Fei Lai could take care of her and Jerlin could play with her. She was already so happy that she didn't want to leave at all. Qin Zhao sat in the passenger seat with a dejected expression. Because of Qin Zhao's company, Dell's expression was relaxed. Dell, just find a cemetery nearby. Of course, the nearest cemetery was at least 50 kilometers away. After all, there couldn't be a cemetery in the city. Because Qin Zhao would occasionally go to the cemetery with Blackie, he was familiar with the cemeteries in LA and the surrounding areas. Lakin Cemetery. Ever since it was built, it had been surrounded by all sorts of rumors. All sorts of supernatural events would spread from time to time. After all, it was a cemetery. It would be strange if there weren't any supernatural events. The car stopped beside the cemetery road. Qin Zhao could occasionally see some ethereal figures. They were spirits, but they were all harmless. They didn't even have their own consciousness. They were all people who'd been buried here in the past few days. They would only stay here for 3 or 4 days. Then they would completely disappear from this world. Their consciousnesses would also disappear completely. They couldn't even reach hell. Sometimes, Qin Zhao wondered if they'd gone to heaven. But Dell couldn't see them. Dell first had to learn the yin-yang eye and then go through complicated preparations to barely see their ethereal figures. Qin, I'm ready. Can we start now? If you think we can, then let's start, Qin Zhao said calmly. Dell began to focus on the direction of the graveyard. He forced his eyelids open and then started exerting force. Qin Zhao was speechless at Dell's weird behavior. Use your own thoughts, Qin Zhao said, rolling his eyes. Don't make your eyes bulge out. I'm just warming up. Don't disturb me. Qin Zhao was even more speechless. You're the one who's wrong, and you're complaining that I'm noisy? I really shouldn't have come out with this asterisk shoal. More than 10 minutes later, Dell was still trying. Finally, Qin Zhao couldn't help but ask, how is it? Do you see it? Wait a bit more. It'll be done soon. Oh, there are spirits in the cemetery, right? Yes, Qin Zhao answered. He leaned against the window and looked in the direction of the cemetery. I see it. I see it. There's a woman in a black dress. She's looking over. She's noticed us. Qin Zhao saw it too, but the next sentence disappointed Dell. She's not a spirit. She's a living person. The woman walked toward Qin Zhao and Dell's car. Who are you? Why are you here so late? The woman sounded proud. Who are you? Police? Why should we answer your question? Dell said unhappily. He'd thought that the woman was a spirit, but he was greatly disappointed. Chen Zhao could feel that the woman in the black dress had a very powerful magic power. "We're here to relax," Chen Zhao said, smiling. "Relax? This is a cemetery. His parents passed away not long ago and were buried here," Chen Zhao said. "He misses them, so he came to visit. Is there a problem?" Dell was stunned. His parents had been dead for more than 10 years. Why would Chen Zhao lie? Chapter 1148. You're a woman, and you're not scared. Why should we be scared? Dell was a simple-minded person, at least outside of business. Dell always spoke and acted without thinking. It was like this in the past, present, and future. Then whatever. The woman in the black dress looked at the two coldly and turned to leave. Crazy. Dell's voice wasn't loud, but the woman clearly heard him. She paused, but she didn't turn around to argue with Dell. Instead, she continued walking and soon disappeared into the darkness. "Do you know that you just offended a witch?" Chen Zhao asked with a smile. "Huh, witch?" "That's right. She's a witch and a very powerful one. Why didn't you tell me?" "Forget it. She probably doesn't have any bad intentions. She didn't do anything to you, either. Let's go." "Chen, are you sure she didn't cast any curse or magic on me?" "No. Really? If you keep blabbering, I'll kick you out of the car and you can go back yourself. Then I won't ask any more. What do we do now?" "What do you mean? What do you mean? If you want to continue, then continue. If not, go home and sleep." Chen Zhao rolled his eyes. "Chen, how do you know that she's a witch?" "Of course. Do you think she's normal to appear here in the middle of the night? Maybe she's here to visit the grave." "Forget it. Let's go home and sleep." No. I need to master the yin-yang eye as soon as possible. Let's not practice in the grave. I'll find an evil spirit tomorrow and send it to your house. It'll follow you every day. If you master it, you'll know immediately." "No, I don't want an evil spirit." "Do you want me to have nightmares if you let an evil spirit follow me? It's better than having you come to the grave every night." "But Faith's not safe at home." "Forget it." Chen Zhao thought about it and realized that it made sense. Adults didn't care, but it wasn't good for children to interact with evil spirits. Chen Zhao's house was the same, even though he only interacted with supernatural things. However, he wouldn't let little Jerlin interact with Phalai at all. At the very least, he wouldn't let them come into contact with spirits, like evil spirits that were left in the human world because of obsessions. If you want to practice the yin-yang next time, come to the graveyard yourself. I don't want to accompany you to the graveyard. Under a tomb in the Laken Public Offering Center. Below the tomb was a suite with all kinds of living facilities. At the same time, there were 3 people living in this tomb. One of them was Felisa, who had attacked him a few days ago, and her teacher, Sibylla. At this time, the woman in the black dress walked in from outside the tomb. "Mahage, where did you go?" Sibylla asked. "Teacher, I saw someone outside the tomb, so I went to take a look," Mahage said. "What about the other 2? Who are they?" "They are just ordinary people," Mahage said. Fei Sha looked at Mahage and said, "Mahage, are you sure those 2 are ordinary people? Maybe they are pretending to be ordinary people. Or maybe they are agents of the Magic Palace." "Not really." Mahage said, "They don't know me. I used some magic just now, but they didn't react at all." "Mahage, the people from the Magic Palace are already in L.A., Sibylla said with concern. "They're looking for us now. It's best if we don't go out. If you or Fei Sha fall into their hands, it'll be troublesome." "Teacher, I understand," Mahage replied calmly. "L.A. isn't safe either. I didn't expect there to be such a powerful spiritualist in L.A., and a wizard at that." Sibylla looked at his bandaged left hand. "Teacher, you shouldn't have stopped me that day. If we work together, we can definitely kill that asterisk shoal. You didn't even know who he is, and attacked him so casually. Are you sure the power behind him won't take revenge?" Sibylla scolded. He attacked me first. He killed all the ghosts I raised. They were half a year's worth of hard work. It's fine if we're on vacation, but we're on the run now. You still want to provoke the local power? Are you afraid that you're not obvious enough? Am I just going to watch my hard work go to waste? We need to preserve our strength. We can't fight pointless battles, Sibylla said. Look at Mahage. She knows how to endure and take a step back. She won't just attack people she doesn't care about. She's she and I'm me. Faye Shah had always disliked Mahage. They were both Sibylla students, but Mahage was always a head above her. No matter what, Mahage always seemed to be better than her. This made Faye Shah hate Mahage. Mahage did not react to her teacher's compliment. She just stood there calmly, as if nothing had anything to do with her. Teacher, we've been hiding here for more than 10 days. When will our plan start? Mahage asked. Not yet. I hired a special bodyguard. It won't be too late to carry out our plan after he arrives. Teacher, we don't need a bodyguard. I don't think any bodyguard can protect us, Faye Shah said. Unless you can hire Superman to be our bodyguard. You're right. The bodyguard I hired is Superman, Sibylla said with a smile. Teacher, this joke isn't funny at all. He's not really Superman, but he's very strong, Sibylla said. Just then, Sibylla's phone rang. Sibylla picked it up. Huh, you're here? Okay, I got it. Send it to me. Not long after, a truck stopped outside the tomb. The worker quickly placed a metal box on the road outside the tomb and left in a hurry. Sibylla, Faye Shah, and Mahage finally came out of the tomb. Faye Shah, move it in. Faye Shah lifted a finger, and the metal box flew up. What's inside? It's so heavy. The metal box looked like an iron coffin, but it was very heavy. It probably weighed more than a ton. After returning to the tomb, Faye Shah placed the metal box in the living room. Teacher, can I open this box? Yes. Sibylla nodded. Faye Shah cast a spell, and the nails on the metal box popped open one by one. Then the lid flew up. A tall, naked man lay inside. Why is it a man? Faye Shah and Mahage were confused. There was a bright red X tattoo on the man's chest. Is he dead? Faye Shah asked, confused. Teacher, who sent this dead man? What's he for? He's our bodyguard. Sibylla walked up and slowly scratched the man's chest with his fingernails. Chapter 1149. When the man opened his eyes, there was a murderous glint in his eyes. Sibylla shook the remote control in his hand, and the man calmed down again. How can I help you? Listen to my orders. Sibylla said, Any orders? Yes, I will listen to your orders. Both Faye Shah and Mahage felt that there was something strange about this man. Previously, they felt that this man did not have any aura, as if he was dead. When he woke up, he had that cold and merciless look in his eyes. But because of a remote control, he had succumbed to his teacher. What's your name? I'm X9. Teacher, who is he? Faye Shah asked. Our bodyguard, Sibylla said. Him? He doesn't have any magic waves on him. Teacher, are you sure he can protect us? What abilities do you have? Sibylla looked at X9. Proficient in all combat, firearms, and all means of transportation. Expert detection and anti-detection abilities. 15 times the human limit of strength. 8 times the human limit of speed. 9 times the human limit of reaction speed. 19 times the human limit of resistance. 6 times the human limit of recovery. 20 times the human limit of vision and no sense of fear. Faye Shah was still not convinced. Teacher, I want to test him. X9, subdue her. Don't hurt her. Whoosh! Before Faye Shah could react, X9 had already disappeared before Faye Shah's eyes. Faye Shah felt a sharp pain in her neck. X9 had already appeared behind Faye Shah and strangled her. This doesn't count. He ambushed me, Faye Shah said unwillingly. Faye Shah, a loss is a loss. Have you forgotten what I taught you? Sibylla said. If we were facing the magic palace, do you think those witches or agents of the magic palace would reason with you? Or a one-on-one fight? And the man who defeated you the other day, he has the same characteristics as X9. That man. Fei Shah's eyes suddenly exploded with anger. But before that, we need to find Rupert first. Teacher, are you sure it's okay for the three of us to meet? Mahej asked. Of course. Do you have any questions? Sibylla asked. According to the Eastern sage's explanation, after the seal is completed, Fei Shah, Rupert, and I can't meet each other, let alone touch each other. The demon souls in our bodies will merge into one the moment we touch each other, releasing the sealed demon. The demon's soul isn't a threat. The demon's soul is just a spirit. Although it also possesses great strength, it needs a body to sustain its soul after breaking the seal. So, we'll prepare a body for it, a body that's decaying and on the verge of collapse. As long as the demon's soul enters this body, it will decay along with the body. We'll be able to easily defeat this demon, and we'll be able to do something that even the magic temple can't do. Teacher, I think this is too risky, Mahej said. Coward. Fei Shah looked at Mahej and said provocatively. Facing Fei Shah's provocation, Mahej remained expressionless. Did Rupert cause any trouble in the past 2 days? Chun Zhao felt that it was definitely because he'd gone to the cemetery last night that he was covered in bad luck. Anyway, he just didn't like everyone today. President, she's very obedient. Obedient? How so? Apart from practicing magic, she rarely leaves her room. How does she practice magic? Did she hurt anyone? Chun Zhao just wanted to find an excuse to punish someone. No. Then did she say anything provocative? No. I know her. She won't be so obedient. Keep an eye on her, Chen Zhao said matter-of-factly. Whatever, I'll go to the Tower of Trials. Since his plan to find an excuse failed, Chen Zhao could only enter the Tower of Trials and vent on the monsters inside. Chen Zhao entered the 7th floor. It was a place filled with magma. The volcano in the distance continued to erupt. A large amount of magma and volcanic ash burst out from the volcano, and then splashed over an area of tens of kilometers. Just then, a ball of burning rock shot over from the distance, dragging a trail of black smoke behind it. The rock landed before Qin Zhao. Then a 10-meter-tall rock giant stood up. The rock giant's body was burning with a high temperature, and the magma was flowing on its body like its blood. Hellfire, that was the name of the rock giant. Immediately, another hellfire descended from the sky, and then another. They were like meteors falling one after another. Chen Zhao studied the hellfire. It was very strong, and there were many of them, but it didn't seem to be as difficult as the demons on the 6th floor. Just then, the hellfire attacked. A hellfire smashed toward Qin Zhao with a scorching fist. Qin Zhao also threw a punch at it. Bang! Hellfire's fist was shattered by Qin Zhao, but Qin Zhao howled in pain and took a step back. Qin Zhao looked at his left fist. It was burned. The hellfire stomped over again. Qin Zhao hurriedly used Qingyi Cloud to wrap his body with magic. With Qingyi Cloud's protection, Qin Zhao wasn't hurt anymore. The hellfire was covered in boiling rocks or magma. If Qin Zhao only used his body, he would be easily burned. However, using Qingyi Cloud would consume a lot of his mana. One had to admit that the hellfire's characteristics put Qin Zhao in unprecedented danger. Qin Zhao took out the bronze sword. Qingyi Cloud couldn't last for too long after all. If it was just a single enemy, using Qingyi Cloud to reduce the enemy's attack power was quite effective. But if there were too many enemies, Qingyi Cloud would become a burden instead. Holding the bronze sword, Qin Zhao smashed a hellfire's head with one slash, then another. But something unexpected happened. The bronze sword was shattered. It was shattered. The bronze sword had been with Qin Zhao for a long time. He never thought it would shatter. It had accompanied Qin Zhao and defeated one strong enemy after another. Chen Zhao had never thought that the bronze sword would shatter. This caught him off guard. A hellfire fist sent him flying. Holding the broken sword, Chen Zhao didn't react at all. Just at this moment, another hellfire attacked. Chen Zhao hurriedly used the dark serum, mixed with red magma, to cut open another hellfire.